pull me low. With their heavy hands and bitter words, they thought they'd steal my show. But I was born in thunder, pain and fire deep inside. Rise back up, a stronger man, no matter how many times they tried. Unbreakable, unshakable, unbreakable, unshakable.
What's up, jerks? It's been a little while. How you doing tonight? I'm feeling pretty good. We're celebrating. It's not as warm as it usually is on 420, but I celebrate on 420 every year. I did this year, no big festivities. I took a nap. I took a nap, but I'm gonna have a great guest tonight. He's a music promoter. It's funny, we have a lot of similar background coming from the music scene. So it's going to be exciting. He's a promoter. I like what he's doing. We're going to talk about that in a second. But before I do that, I just want to recognize this is our birthday today. The Young Jerks is officially 12 years old. I can't believe we've been doing this for 12 years. We started on podcasts and internet radio. And then eventually it became Facebook Live and then YouTube. YouTube is the big place. A lot of people watch us. But we started 12 years ago on 420, of course. The radio, we called it a radio station, but it wasn't. It was internet radio station. They were like, we're going to start you in April. How about 420, Mike? That sounds like a good launch date, right? And of course it was. It was the perfect launch date. Here we are 12 years later. So I want to thank the jerks tonight. Give yourself a big round of applause. Happy birthday to all the jerks out there, because I didn't think we'd still be here 12 years later. And it's because of you watching. You're out there still supporting us. Happy holiday to us today. Happy birthday to us. Looking forward to tonight's show. Somebody said they were missing me. I haven't been around lately. It's true. I've kind of eased back a little bit, but just because I had to get my taxes done, there's a lot of other things I've been dealing with over the last months, and I've been going pretty hard. So I've been kind of slowing down a little bit, but, it's going to be a lot more shows upcoming. I've been telling you that, and there will be. There's going to be a lot of guests on the show. We love having the great guests. Tonight we have a great guest. So why don't we get into this and bring up Tommy. He's a promoter. A company called Juice Entertainment versus Live Nation is the lawsuit. He filed this before the Young Jerks even started, I believe. That's how long this lawsuit has been going. It's more than 12 years, I believe. We're going to find out exactly when this lawsuit started. But it's become much more in the news media because of what Live Nation has been doing over the last decades, and especially the last couple of years, especially since COVID ended, and especially because of what the DOJ and the state attorney generals did or did not do. The DOJ totally wimped out. But a lot of these state attorney generals went all out on Live Nation, and there's a big judgment settlement coming down on them. I like Tommy because he calls it straight out. A lot of the people in the media call Live Nation a monopoly, which it is, but he goes beyond that. He calls it racketeering, a criminal enterprise. And I think he's got some basis, in my opinion. That's my opinion. Don't sue me over this. Opinion, you can't sue on opinion. But my opinion, reading over what happened in his lawsuit, I think he's got a very strong point on this, that it is run like an organized crime family. And a lot of these artists have no leverage. They can't speak out. If they do, they get blackballed. And Live Nation does play those games, even with a smaller promoter like Tommy, who's just trying to get up and get his biggest event ever, probably for in his life, going at a Live Nation venue or affiliated venue. I'm not even sure on this exactly how this plays out. We're gonna find out, but he got shut down. It's because Live Nation wanted to basically take over his company. They said, if you want to do this festival, you basically have to do a deal with us. Crazy, the stuff that goes on in the music industry, and you know who gets held hostage is the bands, the musicians. How many bands have gone out, or even artists recently you've seen? They announce a tour and then they cancel it because they can't sell enough tickets. Back in the day, that would never happen, that they would have to cancel a tour. But now they do, because there's such a shakedown happening. If you don't sell out every seat for the maximum amount of money, you're guaranteed to lose money. And even when you do sell out, you're still, a lot of times, these artists are not making the money you think, because Live Nation is stealing it all. And Tommy D has the goods. I've read over some of the lawsuit on how they do actually get your money when you're say a Pearl Jam hosting a big festival, a big event, a big stadium show, amphitheater show, and they really rob you. They rob you blind. And the artists that don't go along get robbed more. That's basically how it works. And if you go along and you have a big name, they probably don't screw you as much. That's kind of how it works, I think. But there's definitely, it's like a mafia. That's what it seems like to me. My opinion. Let's hear from Tommy D. Tommy D sued Live Nation again. Juice Entertainment versus Live Nation. Tommy D, welcome to the Young Jerks tonight. How you doing, sir?
Doing great, Mike. Thanks a lot for having me on. First of all, congratulations to your anniversary. Happy 420. And thanks for the good work you do speaking up for people that the mainstream media, most of them are scared to do.
Yeah, even us on the independent media, sometimes we get scared too, because we don't have the resources. That's the thing. It's like it's a lot of lawsuits going down. I mean, Kash Patel just announced he's going to sue another journalist today. There's this guy Zampoli we were covering. He's threatening to sue people today. It just goes on and on. I get a lot of lawsuit threats actually doing this show. Been doing it a long time. I defended my first lawsuit this year, which sucked. We won, but I mean, it's unbelievable the way they're just trying to shut down the press in this country now, and especially the independents like us. So it's a tough game. You got to be really careful. And this is one of those things tonight that we're going to be covering where I wouldn't put it past them to try to come after you or me or anybody else to sue, because that's the way that they operate on this high end. They're like gangsters with lawyers, is the way I look at it. Tell us about how you got here. How did you decide to sue? Tell us your background. What do people need to know about Juice Entertainment versus Live Nation? And specifically, when did this lawsuit start? Where does it stand to? It's a lot, I know, but...
Yeah, so lawsuit started in 2011, so we're coming up on 16 years now. So I beat your show out. Sorry.
It's a long friggin' time.
Yeah, I started in the club business, young age, throwing house parties, lived on my own at 16 years old, rented houses, underage, illegal parties to get by. Then I'm from New Jersey. You can't tell the accent originally, now here in Massachusetts. Started bringing people to New York City clubs. Started getting paid on guest lists, like famous clubs like the Tunnel, Limelight, legendary stuff, like $1 a head. And then I was like, you know what? I can build I'm going to build a club empire. Family's like, go to college. What's wrong with you? Nah. So I had a mission to build a club empire with me and my team. It was me and one person at first, and I built a pretty big team. We worked really hard. Started running every major club in New York, every major club in New Jersey, all the way down through Miami. My clubs were featured in major magazines. I did everything from the Kardashians. I did the MySpace parties. If you're familiar with MySpace, that's all long back in the day ago. I did all their parties exclusively.
Wow.
Paris Hilton, Snoop Dogg, Tiesto, almost every major DJ. I won the best sound system in the world. With me and my team's hard work, we got to the top. Couldn't get any bigger. And
now
the next step.
I just want to break in right there real quick, because you told me before the show we were talking about 420, and there's a picture behind you with Snoop Dogg right there, right?
Yeah, that's Snoop Dogg. Year before, only a few months before, at my birthday party, came and performed for free with Joel Santana. for my birthday. I had the Shannon twins, the Hugh Hefner's girlfriends at the time. It was my birthday party. Ja Rule showed up, and he actually, I didn't know Ja Rule, and he came to the door, and my security got me, and they're like, "Hey, Ja Rule wants to sing for your birthday." I was like, "Well, let me make sure there's no beef between Snoop and Joel's." And then Joel performed for free on my birthday as well, and it was an EDM
Wow.
party. So yeah, that's
Wow.
where I was
50
at in the
Cent wasn't
industry.
there. 50 Cent wasn't there, right?
I was friends with his DJ Who Kid. He stayed down in my shore
Oh,
house
really?
down in Belmar, New Jersey all the time in the summer. Brought Steve-O from MTV Jackass. They were boys. So I was cool with their camp, but he didn't come to my birthday now.
Do you remember a guy that worked for Who Kid named Mike? Do you remember Mike? He used to book for
N-
Who Kid. No, they
Nah,
hooked me up.
I dealt with them
Yeah.
directly. I
Yeah,
remember.
it's funny because like they called me the night before a hemp fest actually, and they like, you want Styles P? Like they basically, I don't know, you know the locks, right? I'm guessing Styles
Yep.
P. They flew him down the night before. 50 Cent was trying to woo him away from P Diddy. I had no idea. I didn't even know who Styles P back then. That was the funniest shit. And I looked him up that night. And I'm like, yeah, I want Styles P. Get him down here. And he came down and performed. He performed for free because basically 50 Cent paid for everything. How did it's funny you mentioned Snoop Dogg, because Snoop Dogg notoriously, I know, he never does anything for free. How did you get Snoop Dogg for free? That's wild.
Well, I got pretty big in the industry. In my club at the time, I just won the #1 sound system in the world. So, like DJing, like this was it was called like EDM. All your viewers may know as it.
Electronic dance
It was called
music.
house music before it was cool. That's what I was doing back in the late '90s, all the way up until the 2011. So most people wanted to come to my venues and they wanted to be on the stage because that EDM crowd spent a lot of money and was very influential. And most people wanted to DJ.
Wow, that's amazing. So you that's how you met Paris Hilton, and she's a DJ. That's amazing. And Snoop Dogg came down to your party. I can't believe that. That's amazing. You get that photo. So sorry to interrupt your story, but I got excited when you're talking about how Snoop did something for free. That's just wild
Hey,
to
it's
me. It's
good bringing
amazing.
back some good memories, Mike. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah. You bring back some good memories for me too. It's been a while since I've had anything to do with music or, but I'm starting to interview some people from my past, which is fun. And this is like it feels like another good kind of music show. We can talk a lot about the music industry, but go on and tell us more about your story. So you're getting kind of a name in the New Jersey, New York City area, and you're doing so well that you're attracted Snoop Dogg and Paris Hilton and a lot of these other big names out there to your events, which is that's when you kind of know you've made it. Like I've been there with booking shows. That year when Styles P came down, that was one of the years where I knew I was cooking with gasoline. Like things were starting to go in the right direction. And especially when you're doing these festivals year after year, the first year never goes as good as you think. But then the next year and the next year and the next year, that's when it starts to really build. And it sounds like you were at that point where you're getting some momentum going. And then what happens?
Yeah, I got to the top that I could grow in the club industry. I was running sometimes up to 10, 15 parties a night, 5 to 10,000 people at each venue a night.
Wow.
So to get bigger, I had plateaued. I was moving on into the festival business. And I saw that house music at the time was going to become mainstream, which it did be called EDM. And it was all independents like me running it from when I started in the 90s. And so any of your viewers aren't familiar with but they definitely, because the Jets and the Giants battle on the Pats. It was a new home to the Jets and Giants. MetLife Stadium was just being
Oh yeah.
built there. $2 billion stadium. And there was a massive State Fair Meadowlands, largest fair in the East Coast. I signed an exclusive 10-year contract, Mike, to produce all festivals, all concerts, and all events in their brand new concert event space that I could do up to 100,000 people.
Wow.
My start off was EDM house music because that was my background in my scene. And I was on the verge, and I was putting on the largest house music event the East Coast had ever seen. Until the company, as you mentioned there, Live Nation Entertainment, found out about it and wiped it out.
Now, how did you, when you go in there and talk to them about doing the exclusive for 10 years, how does that work? How do you get something like that? That seems like they're investing in you quite a bit to give you a 10-year contract.
Well, not anymore, but back then I was pretty famous in the industry. I had so many magazines on my walls and awards that it was equivalent of like winning Oscars in other industries. So I was sought after. People reached out to me, especially in the house music world, to come put on the events and the shows. So most people came to me at this time. In the beginning, I had to fight to get an event. My first event ever, I got a Wednesday night party because nobody wanted a Wednesday night from a mob boss that gave me it.
A
But
mom
yeah,
boss.
yeah, mob
Love it.
boss. But over
He
time,
knew he knew he knew he was getting a deal on a Wednesday night.
yeah, nobody partied on a Wednesday night. But my first event did 1,500 people, not 15,000. I wish on a Wednesday night. But yeah,
That's
that's how I started off. But people started seeking
I
me
can't
out.
believe that. Your first event on a Wednesday night drew 1,500 people. That's I've done like it's funny because I remember those days when you get a Tuesday or Wednesday, Thursday type show, and it'd be tough to get 1,500 on your first one. That's amazing. It's freaking amazing.
Yeah, me and a crew put a lot of hard work passing flyers out college campuses. You know, if you remember the industry back then, car to
Dude,
car, face to face, 6 months worth of work for that Wednesday night. But it panned off.
I remember doing the flyers. I remember going to the colleges. I used to, you know what the funny thing, I used to go to 420 events at the colleges. Tufts University has, they're probably up there tonight at the library at Tufts University. They get on the roof. We used to go network with the kids and do videos with them, and then the administration found out and they were waiting for us. They were like they put out an alert. We got scared. We knew they were going to come and arrest us.
Yeah, we used to have the
And we didn't want to blow
security.
up the kid's spot. Like they had this secret 420 thing going on for years, and then we kind of blew it up by accident.
Can't kill that. Can't kill that.
No, you can't kill it. I'm sure it's still going on. Those kids know what they're doing over at Tufts. But you're at this point where you got a 1,500 on your first event, and then you get this huge contract for 10 years. And Live Nation, tell us the whole story on that because there's a lot of details on how this happened, what they wanted, how the lawsuit came about. I want people to really know how they kind of shook you down, what the game was, and then we could talk about how they screw people over because this is going on still to this day.
Absolutely. So I did not know, just Mike, this time I didn't even know who Live Nation was, except they did like tickets because I did business with Ticketmaster. They were not involved in house music, EDM. So they were never involved in my scene. So I never talked to them, never saw them. They never bothered me. So what happened was the owner of the State Fair Meadowlands, his name was Al Dorso, really good guy, owned the State Fair. That's the one that gave me the 10-year exclusive deal. He was real nice. He just called up one day. I remember I was like on the Brooklyn Bridge. I'll never forget this. And he was literally, I was going to a business meeting and he was screaming like a maniac. I don't blame him. Boys, what the fuck you doing? You pissed Live Nation off. They just came and met with me. They're blocking all your talent. They're blocking Tiesto. They're blocking all the artists from the William Morris Agency. Any viewers there? That's the largest talent agency in the world, where I had over $1 million in offers to. They're threatening to not let me build my fence line for my fair. His landlord was the Sports Authority. They own the Meadowlands. They're bashing you to the powers that can be, to the Sports Authority. They're calling you robbers, thieves. He was just like, they're blocking the whole festival. And he said they're going to block all your tickets from Ticketmaster. I was like, dude, they can't block my tickets from Ticketmaster. So he's like, I need you to meet with Live Nation because the show's not going to happen. So that being said, I respected what Al told me, Al Dorso, and I took a meeting with Live Nation Entertainment. I went into their New York City headquarters. I met with their president, Jason Miller, and their VP of talent, John D'Esposito. I walked in the door. Hi, how you doing? My name's Tommy D. Nice to meet you. Boom. Before I could even say my name. The Meadowlands is our fucking stadium. This is our fucking concert. Anything of 10,000 people, it's ours. You're out. We're going to kick you out. I'm like, hi, boom. We're kicking you the fuck out. You have loopholes in your contract. We've seen your contract. The Sports Authority, we own them. And I'm trying to defend my contract, going back and forth. Then they go into the talent. We're going to block all your talent. Tiesto, we're going to block them worldwide. Now, Tiesto was the largest EDM artist in the world at the time. My business partner Um, Booked him like almost exclusively through New York and New Jersey. It was like back in the day, if you wanted like Mike Tyson, you called Don King, you called my guy John DiMatteo. I'm trying to defend it. No, William Morris agencies are exclusive agency. We're not letting you have any talent. Um, it was way more vicious than I'm saying, just like savage animals, like that's why I said that the mafia, at least they come and have class and they'll talk to you. Live Nation, attack, 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 just gangsters in suits. And then they told me, look, we're going to block all your tickets from Ticketmaster. We won't let you get tickets to the show. And I'm like, how can you block my tickets at Ticketmaster? I do business with Ticketmaster for probably like 14 years. We own them. I thought they were bullshitting until after I got out on the meeting and did a Google search and typed in Live Nation Ticketmaster. And I was like, oh, shit, I'm screwed. But their last threat they came at one thing. They said, look, I said, I'm up. They said they wanted to buy me, they wanted to acquire me, they wanted to hire me, but they said I had to kick my business partners out. I had two business partners. They wanted them out. They'd fund 50% of the festival because they said any event of 10,000 people, they had to be involved. And they said, if not, I was done and it was over. I only had a handshake deal, Mike, with my business partners. But I learned from my dad passed away at a young age, and I've always honored my word, and that's something I learned from him. And I wasn't breaking my word with these guys because these crazy animals and this mafia is telling me to do so. So after that meeting, um, all the artists, the talent agencies, we were booking, the industry. We had flights getting booked. We had
Oh
everything in
yeah.
place, staging. We had everything set up.
How long was this before the festival was supposed to happen when you had this kind of meeting with them?
This meeting, we were good time out from the festival, but we were right at the getting the flights and the confirmations for all the artists confirming. After that, William Morris agency, all the talent agencies, everything went dark. Everything, millions of dollars in offers, everything just disappeared. They would never even pick up a phone call. Live Nation followed through with the threats. I have tape recordings of their top executives confessing to this, emails of them confessing to this, and then they defamed me not just to my partners. They defamed me to the sports authority and then to the whole world. I was nominated at the time the number one promoter in New Jersey by the Star Ledger, and that's what at the time was the largest newspaper publication by the fans in New Jersey. Live Nation got my name removed from that, and I
How do
lost
they
my.
do that? Do they threaten them sponsorship, the advertising money or something? How do they remove you from that? That's like a newspaper, right?
Yeah, I think we can get into that in a little bit because
Oh
it's the
wow.
mafia, and it's way more powerful than the mafia.
Yeah.
If the mafia had this much power, they'd run the world. Okay, so that's how much power they have. So they got my name removed from there. I was lost my whole entire reputation, lost my whole career. I ended up going homeless. Um, and then I got to get up, it was definitely pretty depressing, let's just say. I had to get up. I got a job selling cable door to door and had to get good at it quick. And I funded the litigation and sued Live Nation back in 2011 for this. And it's been almost 16 years.
Wow. And so when was this festival so you sued them in 2011. When was the festival supposed to take place?
2011. It was the summer
So
of
with that, yeah.
2011 at the Meadowlands Stadium.
So you sued them pretty quickly after. It's like within that year.
Within
Um,
within a year.
that's wild too that they went to William Morris. That if like you said, if people don't know, William Morris is the biggest booking agent in the world. I used to call them when we did some of our festivals for artists and things like that and try to book people. And I mean, you lose them on that level. You can go without William Morris on the club level, but when you're doing a big festival like that, you need some national talents and big names, and that's how you get them. And for them to make that call and William Morris to actually go along with it shows you how much power Live Nation really does have, because William Morris is effed without Live Nation, really, if you think about it, in terms of music anyways and touring. even here, like with me, I just like knowing I'm doing the show tonight. I'm like, if I ever get big, I bet I won't be able to do a Live Nation event, right? I mean, because that's how they are. They will literally blackball anybody who even entertains this topic tonight, won't they?
Anybody that entertains this topic, you're out of the industry. And you talked about William Morris. I found out years later, Aaron Manuel, who just got them Live Nation pardoned by the Department of Justice. Good thing for the states. And thank you, Massachusetts Attorney General, for keeping the case going and winning. Let's go. When the DOJ caved, he was the owner of William Morris, and he sat on the Live Nation board of directors all the way up into 2022 until the DOJ pushed him out.
Wow, conflict of interest big time there. I mean, that's how they do it, right? They run both sides of the business. So let's talk about the lawsuit because, like you said, 2011, it's been 15 years. Am I right on that? 15, 16 years, something like
Yeah, we'll
that.
be coming up on 16.
Yeah, 60, coming up on 16. Why is it taking so long? Where is it at now? Tell us about the process and what's happened since then.
Yeah, so it's definitely been a long time. And I think like the founders of our country, especially being up here in Massachusetts, the right to a speedy trial, I think maybe they had me in mind
Yeah.
for what should not happen. Yeah, so we were anticipating trial within 1 year, I was told by my attorneys. Live Nation was ordered to turn over discovery by a federal judge, New Jersey judge, Judge Mannion, within 30 or 60 days. Live Nation refused to turn over any discovery over. We kept going back to the court, back to the court. Then they would turn over my events in New York and New Jersey. They would turn over something from like Pennsylvania, like a 200-person event, and they give me like 50,000 documents. Meanwhile, there'd be an event of 30 or 40,000, even 100,000 people they put on in New York, relevant players. I get one document, just a flyer. So we kept going back to the court. We had only gotten 5% of the discovery, 1% of the relevant discovery, with going back and spending a lot of money over like 4 years, 5 years. Finally, my lawyer went to the court and said, Your Honor, we know we're wearing out our welcome, the plaintiffs, but they're entitled to this. Live Nation didn't turn it over. I was running out of money. So I had to continue the case with just the 5% of the discovery that I still have to this day.
Wow. So that's why it took so long. Is the discovery. They're dragging the heels. They're getting away with it because they get the money. They get the attorneys. They probably have some of these judges in their pockets too. Who knows? I mean, that's how deep this goes. They own people. They even own the politicians because a lot of these politicians end up touring and getting agents later. I mean, we had a U.S. attorney here in Massachusetts who resigned and now she's running for DA again. She's actually been a guest on the show once, way in the past. But she got in some trouble for traveling. I think it was William Morris, actually, or one of these big companies that she was, working with and not supposed to be working with. It was just some weird stuff going on. And it's like, even on that level, some of these major politicians have deals with Live Nation and William Morris. And so it's like, there's a lot of conflict of interest that happen that you'd be surprised about with the power of a Live Nation Ticketmaster.
Yeah, Live Nation's good at a few things. Being a criminal enterprise, good at paying high-priced lawyers, great at paying lobbyists, great at technicalities. That's all they tried in the trial versus, I won't even call it the DOJ, could the states. And threatening people. That's what they're pretty good at. I went to court so many years. It'd basically be like, the ink is in red, not blue. Technicality. They've never beaten me on one argument on substance since this case has ever started. They've never even challenged anything on substance. It's just been technicality, delay. The information I have, they don't want it to go to a jury. They're afraid for it to go to jury because if it's exposed, it could drop. Well, I think it will put their top executives in jail. They'll go Michael Rapino and their top executives will be in prison. And it will drop ticket prices 30 to 40% on how I can show they run an illegal criminal enterprise rebate scheme. And I have no reason that I have not been at trial for the last 5 to 6 years. I had a firm trial date 2 years ago. Everybody subpoenaed. We're going to trial. Live Nation wants another mediation for the 15th, 16th time. I don't want their money. I want a jury trial. The judge wanted it. You're stuck with it, you know? So
The judge can force mediation. Is this a federal case? I'm guessing it is federal, right?
federal case, the judge can force mediation. I've not wanted mediation for the last 10 times after all the information I've seen, and I have, that nobody else has, on how they run a criminal enterprise and it's just a racket. I want a jury trial for the industry, for the fans, for everybody ripped off every day. And you know what? The judge can force your hand, and the judge says mediation, it's mediation. There's no statute of limitations. And again, that's why I said the founding fathers did not plan this when they said speedy trial. There's no statute of limitations, because people look at me like I'm crazy. Why is it 16 years? It's cost me a lot of time and a lot of money.
Yeah.
There is no statute of limitation in federal cases.
There you go. That's good that you don't have a statute of limitations, but speedy
Terrible.
trial. I mean, that just. I mean, what are you supposed to do? Now, where's it at? Like, are you expected to have a trial soon? Is there a trial date? Is there anything happening?
I had a hearing in November, and I was told they were going to put a trial date in within like the next few days. There's been not, it's just been quiet ever since then. I've just been waiting, and there's really nothing I can do, you know? And I was quiet. No one even knew my name like a year and a half ago, you know, year. But my witnesses started getting old, you know, like you come from the club world, we party a lot, you know.
Yeah, people start dying.
I'm good, but yeah,
Yeah.
but a lot of these guys were old at the time this was even taking place, and not the best habits, you know, in life. So I was like, listen, my witnesses are gonna you know, may not make it from old age, so I need to get a trial date. That's where I started speaking publicly. Late Congressman Bill Pascrell, who sent my expert report that I had that was suppressed, and we talked about power and lobbyists. This was suppressed by Live Nation's attorney, who became the head of the Department of Justice for New Jersey, Philip Selinger. Suppressed the report. That's a criminal report on the company. And Congressman Pasquarello passed away from old age, you know, so it's that's why anybody even knows my name right now, just because I haven't got my witnesses were getting old, and I felt like I had to speak.
Wow. So November they promised it, and now it's April and nothing's happening. It's unbelievable. I again, I think that they have something over even the U.S. court system. You know, they own everything. It's amazing. Tell us about this rebate scheme, because I see it for what it is. I know how they do it. It's so shocking what they do to the artists and the performers and the promoters like yourself. They just basically steal your money. They're parasites. They go in there and they just bill you for everything through a third party, and then they get their kickbacks. I mean, tell people how this works. It reminds me of the mafia, because this is what the mafia used to do. They used to do a lot of kickback schemes and vendors. We own this vendor. You want your trash picked up? It's gonna be 3 times as expensive, but you're gonna be protected. You go pay this guy 3 times as much, and then that trash guy is kicking back to the mob bosses. I mean, or it's owned by the mob bosses. Like, tell us how this rebate scheme worked and how they screw over bands like Pearl Jam or Bruce Springsteen or Justin Bieber and whoever else you are going on tour. How do they screw them while their fans are paying ever higher ticket prices?
Yeah, so you're right on the money. This is a mafia scheme. It's a mafia run organization. In Live Nation's own scheme, Live Nation's own internal document, they call it a scheme over 50 times. I think your audience is smart enough to know what a scheme is. They can just Wikipedia it. So Live Nation, how they run this scheme, it's pretty simple. You hit it right on the money. So they go to the venues, okay? And they tell the venues, you have to pay us a kickback of this much money. And in exchange, we're going to inflate the costs of the rent, the security, the cost of the production of the event. And then we're going to not tell our partners about that. We're not going to tell the artists. We're not going to tell the independent promoter. And we're going to they pass all those expenses over to the artist, the independent promoter, And Live Nation gets all this money on the kickback right into their own pocket. And that's how they make their money and run their whole entire racket in business. NBC just put a massive investigative article out by Pulitzer Prize Award winning Gretchen Morgensen. And in there, she shows events of Live Nation where it's, I don't know how many, but it's in the hundreds of events. And there is, for those 100 events, for the promoter, co-promoter for the event, and the artist, they lose $1.5 million loss. The exact same set of events, because Live Nation has 2 sets of the books. The only other people, I dealt with the mafia in New Jersey all the time. The only other people I know that has 2 sets of books is the mob. It is the mob.
That's right.
For the Live Nation's books, the same exact event, Live Nation made $15 million plus. This information that NBC put out shows how they run the racket. And what I have is way, way, way worse. Mike, they go to so much extent, information that just came out in the federal hearings, and in the industry, okay? Think of this. The Barclays Center in New York, all right? This is a state-funded venue. So Attorney General in New York, if you're listening to this, listen to this one. It's a state-funded venue, okay? Live Nation doesn't own it. Live Nation doesn't operate it. Now, an independent promoter, let's say you, Mike, you want to go put on a show there. You put the show on, and you're like, damn, why is this show losing money? Or the artist, why is this losing money? Live Nation is getting paid a $3 kickback by the venue for your show. So if the arena does 30,000 people, no matter what you do, Live Nation's not involved in the show or the arena at all.
They get 90
Michael
G's.
Rapino's $90,000
for
in
doing
Michael
nothing.
Rapino's pocket when he's sleeping. You
Yeah.
might have lost money on the show. The artist might have lost money on the show. Live Nation still gets paid $90,000.
They
It's a
get the
complete-
promoter's profit. Yeah, they steal the profit basically from
And
the
they're not-
promoter
but this
who
is
took
where
all the
they're-
risk.
Yeah, promoter does
and
the
did
whole
all the
risk.
budgeting, did all the, I mean, it takes months to do these shows.
Can you think
There's
of
so
any
much work behind it.
business? Can you think of any business in the world? You're a painter, you go paint somebody's house, and your competitor gets paid from you painting their house? Come on. Is there any business in the world? The mafia. I've talked to the mafia about this. The mafia wouldn't have the balls to go ahead and do something to that extreme.
They'd probably want to cut you in to make sure you're still surviving. Like if you're working for the mafia, like the mafia are business people in the end. I mean, that's money. It's funny because you hear a lot of these old mobsters talk and they get podcasts and you realize that there are some guys who are just the money guys who make the money for them. And then there's the hitmen. Like there's like 2 classes kind of soldiers. And it's like, if you're a money maker, sometimes you have a lot of risk because they think you're stealing the money. So that's how you get whacked. But for the most part, they like take care of the people who make them money because you're a money maker, like that's the thing. You're a money maker for them.
Yep.
You think they would give you a piece to make sure that you come back the next day, that's how corrupt this system is, that they just take everything. They just want to own everything. They don't want anybody else to have a piece of anything.
And that's how it is. It's just corporate greed by Michael Rapino. Well, criminal greed, I'll say. And they run this. This is in 1 or 2 events. They run this on a global scale. You're talking billions and billions of dollars funneled through this racketeering, money laundering, criminal enterprise.
Yeah, Michael Rapino. Here it goes. Says President and CEO of Live Nation received $195 million in compensation in the 3 years since ending in 2024, a figure the federal judge hearing the antitrust trial in New York barred the jury from hearing after the company's lawyers argued it was prejudicial. Thank you, prejudicial. But I mean, they get away with a lot. It's like
and I don't know if you heard Michael Rapino in this last year facing the charges by the Department of Justice that caved, facing criminal allegations from me and others and COVID scams. He came on national TV and said, let's raise ticket prices. They're too cheap. The mob, John Gotti, he would have never went and did that facing these charges. That's why it is the mob, just more powerful.
That's how brash they are. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. If it's even like a street a street gang on the corner. They know when the heat's on. That's when you either move shit to another city or you kind of just chill out for a little bit until the heat's not there anymore. They're just
I'm from New
so
Jersey,
reckless.
but we're in Boston. You guys are the best sports fans. Let me give you that. And can you imagine him getting in front of the Bruins state, getting up in front of the Bruins fans or Celtics fans and saying, "I'm Michael Rapino. Let's raise ticket prices." I don't know how he's going to make out getting outside that stadium up here.
Yeah, I mean the Red Sox, they raise their prices, people get mad. It's true, and you don't see the owner speaking those words, being gleeful about it. It's just it's wild, and especially how expensive. I mean, this has become very scandalous. I remember Bruce Springsteen went through this, Taylor Swift. There's been a lot of complaints about how these tickets are sold, and I follow Pearl Jam a lot. It's amazing to see their fans get really mad about the ticket prices, and Pearl Jam tries to be fair. They have a fan club, and
Yep.
people, even their longtime fans, are really upset about the cost of the tickets and how it works now. And I think they're somebody who's tried to at least be fan centric, but you really can't be at this point. Like that's the problem with the Pearl Jam. It's like they can't have any ideals because if they do, they have no leverage. They're not going to be able to perform anywhere. That's where all their money comes from. I mean, how do you feel? What do these artists say? Do you talk to any of the artists? Do you ever hear from them? It seems like most of them are silent because they know if they say something, their career is over.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. With the artists, it's the big shh. There's no artist protection program from Live Nation like there is a witness protection program from the Mafia. Um, but yeah, so like they lose these artists lose so much money all the time. They're robbed by Live Nation all the time. Michael Rapino, Live Nation, they steal from them every day, but they can't say anything because there's nobody else. They run everything. There's not one global tour without Live Nation or Ticketmaster. So the artist, someone will speak to me on the back end very carefully. But publicly, Live Nation just got found guilty of being a monopoly. It's a criminal enterprise, but they just got found that. In the
By the
United
state
States,
attorneys, yeah.
by the state attorney generals, Massachusetts, good stuff. My hometown, New Jersey, let's go. They continued the fight. Any of the other ones you caved, voters voted to vote these people out. But yeah, it's just pure power. It's just pure power.
Unbelievable. The kickback schemes. I can't believe how they do that. Where, like you said, what business? I can't imagine. Like I have a dog walk business. I can't imagine walking dogs and then find out the customer is forced to send a third of the money I'm earning to my competitor who has nothing to do with the dog walks. That's just like that just tells you everything right there. That is just so out of pocket. It's like I'd be quitting the business. It's like it's not worth it. They're just robbing me. They're robbing me. My competition is robbing me.
And who they rob the most are the fans.
The
Because
fans,
this
yeah.
rebate scam, who's it paid for? It doesn't Live Nation can't survive except for the fans paying the higher ticket prices caused by this, 30 to 40% higher. This is what it causes. I have the books. I have Michael Rapino's and Live Nation's books cooked. That's why I can say this. And it's 30, 40% increase in the ticket prices from this illegal rebate financial scheme. And the fans front that bill. And then so they're the victims, the real victims of this. But you know who else pays for it? Taxpayers. Attorney generals, if you're listening to this, I don't know if the DOJ is interested, they made a settlement, but attorney generals, the taxpayers are paying this money. A lot of these venues are state-owned or funded venues. And Live Nation is running the rebate schemes. And you're talking about power, Mike? Can you imagine a mafia pulling it off in a state-owned venue? They're forcing these state-owned venues to do this. Some of them being complicit because the venue has no choice. They tell the venue, you don't pay us this much money, no show for you.
Yeah,
just like the artist, you speak up, no show for you. Independent promoter, don't complain you lost $50,000, no show for you. You know what's even worse, Mike? In Live Nation, just came out in their own internal documents. In Live Nation's owned and operated venues, if you're an independent promoter or an artist and you want to question one expense, why did a towel cost $1 million or $100,000? Why is the security this cost? It's in their contracts that you're not allowed to question that whatsoever. So they move this rebate money around, funneled to different divisions, different books, and Live Nation never loses a dollar, makes all the money. When these artists, you hear these artists, I sold out a stadium. I lost money. How? It's
Yeah.
all about Live Nation's illegal, fraudulent kickback scheme. And they're two sets of books. And that's what this is all about. And it affects the fans the most because they get stuck with these high ticket prices. Live Nation tries to blame everyone. They blame the scalpers. Okay. The scalpers are basically like the valet guy at their stadium that's just parking a car. Okay. There's a couple bad acting ones, but they blame them. They blame the artist. Who else left to blame? There is nobody else. Pretty soon they're going to blame the janitor that's cleaning the toilet. They're going to blame him and say the ticket prices are so high because he charged so much. You know, it's just mafia tactics. It's a mafia.
And the cost for the artist has gone up too. I mean, the artist pays or the promoter, depending on, you know, how the situation is set up. But I mean, you're talking about staging, you're talking about workers, you're talking about gas, you're talking about hiring RVs and trailer trucks, and the costs have gone up, especially since COVID. Like, I know everybody and even the smaller bands out there tell me about how expensive it is to even tour now. And Live Nation keeps squeezing higher ticket prices, but it's not going to the artist. A lot of the artists get screwed. A lot of these artists are in debt. If they have to cancel a tour, they become like slaves. They have to go. Like, I remember when Pearl Jam had to cancel some tours because of Eddie. Like, I was like, they're hurting right now. You could tell. Like a band like that, they shouldn't be suffering. They should be like, they should have a lot of power. And, you know, like, the thing about, like, I like about Pearl Jam is they've always been interested in the business. They've been pragmatic. They want to make sure their money's being well spent, even with their charities that they do. Like, they vet these little charities. I think a lot of times the artists that, you know, or celebrities that do charities, they just pick the biggest one. They let them do it. Where Pearl Jam, a lot of times, will find these smaller ones that really are deserving of the money. And I think that they do that a lot with their business and their time and their energy. But they're like shut out. When you said that, they can't even look at their books. They can't even look at where the money went on their concert, which is so crazy to me. Because if you're a promoter, that's how you learn. I mean, that's how any business person wants to know where their money's going, so you can make better judgments in the future. Whether you may want to cut out something, maybe you want to find a cheaper vendor. You know, you want to know where the money's going. Is someone extorting you or stealing money? Like, this is basic 101 in business. Whether you run a dog walking business like I do, or you're a band like Pearl Jam, you want to know where your money's being spent. You know, and like, especially if you're not making the money you should be when you're charging $1,000 a ticket. It's wild. Like, how can that stand where they can't even look at their expenses of their own event? That's like, that is so un-American. It's so anti-business. It reminds me of like the Soviet Union or some crap. Like, that's not supposed to exist in a place like America, where we want to see the public accounting. We have a stock market. That's why I invested stocks. I'm able to look at their balances and know that if it's not what they say it is, somebody's going to jail. You know, that's what America is that we have public disclosure. When you make a deal with someone, they're supposed to show you the books. That's supposed to be not fraudulent. You're supposed to be able to make a good decision on it with your purchasing power. This is so un-American that they don't even let these artists or promoters look at the books, look at the cost of the concerts or the festivals that they're holding. I can't imagine anybody would want to do business that way, ever.
No one wants to do business, but they have no choice. If you're an artist,
Yeah.
who else you go to?
I
Ghostbusters?
know.
There is nobody else. And you hit it right on the nose there. You know, it is like almost like the Soviet Union, how they run it. It's out of control. And you put out the point of the cost of the tickets and the artist not making money. Well, if you're making the venue pay all this money and it's just come in your P&L, your pocket, and not the artist, not the vendor promoter, the costs get risen. So all the costs get risen. If I'm the artist, people blame the artist. If I'm losing money on a show, I can't see why I'm losing money. Live Nation's making mad millions of dollars. I'm losing money. What am I going to do? Raise my ticket prices. Basic math, basic economics. But that's the ecosystem that Live Nation created. And that's the racket that they run that needs to be stopped.
The problem is when you raise the prices, you have no control over Live Nation taking more of your money. Like that's the thing. You can keep raising your prices, but what if they keep taking more of your money? It's just like it's like a never-ending cycle of them robbing you.
Live Nation has it even, Mike, Live Nation has a thing built in some of their contracts. It's literally mob. It's called protection money. So if an event, there's the rebate. Let's say Live Nation's getting $10 a kickback from the venue. That money just in Live Nation's pocket, not the artists, not the promoters. The show doesn't do good. Live Nation sucks at producing. It doesn't go well. They'll get $2.50 kickback for low production event. It's called, they literally call it protection money in their own internal documents. And in New Jersey,
they're insuring it. Yeah,
they're guaranteed not to lose. And in New Jersey, in their own internal documents, you have in Atlantic City, state-funded, state taxpayer venue, New Jersey Attorney General Jennifer Davenport. Thanks for taking the case all the way. But if you're listening, take a look at these documents. There's a fund set up for casinos paid for by the taxpayers. Live Nation, if they lose money on the event, the artists don't get the money, they lose. If the independent promoter loses, they lose. Live Nation gets money from a sludge fund from the state, taxpayer paying for up to $650,000. So they can never lose. And if you call that business, anybody, it's not business. They just have so much power that no one speaks about it. I'm one of the few people that can, because I have all their information, and everything I have, I can back up.
It's so rigged. Tell us about the 2 sets of books, because when I heard about this, again, I was just like, that's mafia shit. They're like, that's what people who are doing fraud do. They set up 2 sets of books. That's what Bernie Madoff did. That's what they did with Enron. That's what any fraudster does. They have 2 sets of book, or like money launderers, illegal, businesses that, drug gangs. They have 2 sets of books. Like this is Live Nation has 2 sets of books on their events and concerts. How does that work? Explain that to people.
It's really simple. 1 set of book for Live Nation, and as Gretchen Morgensen, NBC investigation journalist, put out, I'd ask anybody to check out that article. 1 set, Live Nation is making millions and millions, and this, I guess, the information that they found there, it was, I think, $5 or $15 million profit. 1 P&L, 1 set of books. That's all in Live Nation's pocket. The artists, the independent promoters on that separate set of books is losing $1.5 million. So it's real simple. There's just 2 sets. One with all their illegal money that they're taking, that's in their pocket, that nobody can see how it comes from, how they get it. And then there's just the other set of book that the artist, the independent promoter, that they say, here, you take this. If you speak, you're done. And in our contracts, you're not allowed to speak anyways. And that's it. And most of the time, they're losing money. You have a couple superstars making it, but that's it. It's very simple. It's just a mafia. It's very simple. It's just a simple racket. It's just a simple racket. They just have so much power, so much with lobbyists, have the best lawyers in the world that are watching the show. And that's how they continue to get away with it. And they're just so arrogant, and they think they're above the law. And so far they have been, but that's why I'm continuing this. I'm continuous until their top executives are in jail. And look, the mafia, you can't say go to mafia's reform school and you'll be reformed. Live Nation, they had this consent decree merger with Ticketmaster for 16 years. They violated it. Do you know how quick they violated it with me?
First week. What?
It was in the first month.
Yeah.
They've continuously violated it, ripping off fans for 16-something years, artists, independent promoters. There's no rehabilitation program. It's called Rikers Island. This company and these top executives need to be put in prison, and there needs to be this company split up into as many pieces or shut down like Enron was. And it needs a politician out there that's got the guts to go beyond the lobbyist, a state attorney general that's not scared, like these state attorney generals that took this all the way to trial to break up Live Nation Ticketmaster, so much respect for them. Bipartisan group, so much respect for them. But that's what it'll take. And the information's in the open, and the information that I have is way worse than I'm even saying what's on the to your program.
No, what I love is that you did shout out our Massachusetts Attorney General, because here on the Young Jerks, and a lot of times with the radio I do over at WRKO with the Howie Carr Radio Network, I go after the Attorney General. I am more of a liberal, but you'd be surprised that I go after the Democrat Attorney General in the state, because a lot of times she's not doing what she's supposed to. But I like to be fair. On this, you're saying she did a really good job, didn't she? Or the Mara here, who was responsible for it? Was
I
it
think it's Miss Campbell's her
Campbell?
name, correct?
Campbell. Yeah,
Yeah,
Campbell's there
Campbell's
now.
attorney general. I believe she works for the governor. She decided to keep the case going. I had pushed the New Jersey attorney general very hard to keep the case going. New Jersey led the way. Massachusetts followed. Let's go Northeast, and it went. They defeated Live Nation for showed they were a monopoly, but everybody knew that. But what they are is a mafia. And that's what needs to be exposed, and that's what needs to be investigated, and that's what needs to be, they need to be prosecuted for it.
Yeah, totally. So I think hats off to Attorney General in Massachusetts and New Jersey and any other state that stepped up, because this matters. And like I said, I want to be fair with our AG. Like, when she does something well, give her praise. She did a good job on this one. We've had quite a few comments tonight. People are getting into this. I can see the numbers are starting to go up as it goes on, which is a sign that people are interested in this. Karen D says, didn't something happen with Ticketmaster? Well, Ticketmaster is Live Nation now. They are one. They are one company. Live Nation bought Ticketmaster. So this is, yeah, and what Tommy, what we're talking about tonight is the fact that the attorney generals in different states did file a lawsuit, and it was successful. But I'm wondering with what Karen D is saying, what is the result of that? Like, where does this go now with the lawsuit? Like, the AG's won, but what happens? Does the Live Nation get broken up? Are we still waiting to see what the penalty is going to be? Do they pay a fine? What happens now?
Yeah, so we have to wait to see what the penalty is going to be. The DOJ caved. And they settled for like 200 something million dollars. And some people look at that and say, wow, that's amazing money. That's 4 days worth of revenue for Live Nation. So it was a joke. It's less than a slap on the wrist, less than a parking ticket. So we have to wait till the judge decides with it. Live Nation and Ticketmaster should be broken up completely. They went to to answer your viewer there, they merged back in 2010. Right before they wiped me out, working together with threatening to block the tickets, the Live Nation and Ticketmaster merger. They control every major arena, every major tour, everything in the whole entire industry. It's only the Live Nation entertainment industry. That's it. So they need to be split up. But then the company they need to go further. They need to break the company into as many pieces, chop it up, as many pieces as possible. Put the top executives in jail, shut it down, let independents thrive again, let ticket prices go down. Ticket prices will go down 30 to 40%. Give me a jury trial, let my information come out, or get a politician that's willing enough to go forward and take them on. Ticket prices will drop 30 to 40% overnight. Not just the $1.75 that they showed in the trial. 30 to 40%. And the fans are the biggest victims. All your viewers, they get ripped off every day.
I mean, that's why I stopped going to the big concerts. I mean, I used to go to a lot of Pearl Jam concerts, and I don't go to anything anymore. It's just too much money. It's just too much. I'll still go to a club show, but it's
and look at
way
Pearl
too
Jam.
much money now.
Look at Pearl Jam. They spoke out in the 90s just against Ticketmaster, not Live Nation. No shows for them. They couldn't get shows. Now you got Live Nation and Ticketmaster together. So powerful. Mafia. Pearl Jam won't come out and speak. Not one artist come out and speak. They won't even come out and say, congratulations, State AG. Shh. Be quiet. That's it.
Yeah, Pearl Jam is a band that will still go after Trump, but they won't go after Ticketmaster or Live Nation. That tells you a lot. I mean, because a lot of artists won't criticize Trump right now because they know that half their audience supports Trump or a third, whatever the amount is. They know there's going to be some pushback. They're going to lose some people. And a band like Pearl Jam is one of the few that will still speak up and do politics, but they won't touch Live Nation. That just tells you how much power that company has over the music industry. Um, when you were talking about the AGs and you're talking about breaking up the company, you're talking about jailing the CEO, the top executives. Can that happen? Like the attorney generals, do they have that kind of power? I'm guessing it's a federal court. Can the federal court do that? Or do they need the DOJ? Like where, like how far can the AGs go?
Well, I think the DOJ made their decision when they let Live Nation off for equivalent of a parking ticket for $200 million, 4 days worth of revenue, with Air Emanuel from the William Morris Agency walking into the White House and getting them pardoned. Live Nation, if your viewers don't know, the case got settled without the judge knowing and without the lead prosecutor knowing. I spoke to a head mafia official, John Elite, who took down the Gambino crime family and was the calculator for the Gambino crime family. And I asked him, did any of the 5 families have the power to get a judge to settle a case without a judge knowing and without the lead prosecutor knowing? He's like, get out of here.
And the judge wasn't happy. The judge wasn't
Judge
happy,
was
right?
pissed. Judge was pissed. And I give the states mad props for continuing, because they only had 1 week to get a new attorney, and his name was Kessler. He's a rock star. Give him props. But I've been battling Live Nation for 16 years. I'm an expert on this because, unfortunately, I've had to do a lot of the legal work. You know how hard it is to pick up a case in 1 week and take it to a jury and try and win? Props to him. Mad props to Kessler. I want to say that with that. And the state AGs for standing the course, because against all odds, they won. But they do, to answer your question directly, do they have the power? Absolutely. State attorney, this is racketeering. That's all it is. It's criminal racketeering. Financial fraud, accounting fraud, you name it, across the board. I have all the information. Anybody read the NBC article as well. These are state-funded venues, taxpayer money. The states can get involved. The states can file charges. The states can prosecute for racketeering. Taxpayers are defrauded. Fans are ripped off. Like, people have celebrated today in DC. There was like a $10 million fine against Live Nation. I see all over my Twitter account. Yes, Live Nation got fined.
I know. I thought so for a second. That morning I posted. I was like so excited. And then everyone in the Twitter was telling me, Mike, look into it. It's bad. It's not good. I was like, oh, shit.
Live Nation's happy to get a $10 million fine because, listen, we're regular working class people. And we're like, $10 million, this is great. They got to pay a lot of money. Well, if $250 million was only 4 days of operating venue, what's $10 million? You know, Micah Rapino slept for an hour, you know? So it's, for them, it works out well when they're hit with these low penalties, because they're like, awesome. It looks like they got us. We pay this with our eyes closed. It doesn't affect anything. And we're buying another company for $250 million tomorrow and expanding our mafia. So real change. The only way to do it is, like I said,
break them up,
lock them up,
break them up, lock them up,
break them up, lock them up, split it into as many pieces, throw the top executives in jail, and then let independents take over and thrive. And any good people left in the company, let them pick up the pieces of those other companies. Let them get rid of this whole rebate, kickbacks, financial fraud scheme, and let the fans pay 30 to 40% less for their tickets. You know what? The fans have been ripped off for 16 plus years by this company. Don't the fans, I'll ask any of the state AGs, do the fans deserve that? I know they want it. And like I've said to people, and I say it, this is a bipartisan issue, okay? It doesn't matter if you're in a trailer in Alabama, if you're an elitist in San Francisco. It doesn't matter if you're black. It doesn't matter if you're white. Live Nation discriminates against you. They don't discriminate, actually. They rip off everyone.
They rip off everybody.
They're the most discriminatory company in the world. They'll rip you off if
They'll
you're the
rob
KKK,
anybody.
rip you off if you're Iranian, you're Israeli. They don't care.
If
They
you're
rip
Bruce
you off.
Springsteen, they'll rip you off. If they're Pearl
They rip
Jam,
anyone
legendary
off.
artists getting ripped off that we should be,
Legendary artists, and they won't, and even the
and
legendary
especially the
ones won't
small
speak out.
guys. Like if they'll do that to them, imagine what they're doing to the up and comers like yourself who just tried to get one festival going. Like it just come on, and you worked your way up. Like that's the thing. If it was a real industry, they'd be welcoming and championing you and investing in you, going, geez, how did you book 1,500 people on your first event? And how did you get here? How did you get all, you know what I mean? Like you're a success story on your own. You know, that's the type of thing. If it was a real industry, they'd be they'd be investing in you. They'd be like, you know what? Let's sit down, give you a good deal, a deal that you're happy with. That you know. Instead, they try to put you out of business. They throw threats at you. That just shows you what it's really about. It's not about business. It's not about investing. It's a mafia. It's a gang. It's a game. It's not. You know, what about the state houses in the U.S. Congress? Because I know you're saying that a lot of times the courts are so crooked, the artist is scared. What about the politicians? Couldn't they even just do a simple law that said anybody doing a concert over 10,000 seats has to provide the books for the promoters, for the artists? You have to show them where the costs are going. I mean, when I was a financial advisor, we had things that we had to give customers about our fees. It was like a disclosure. The customer would sign it because the customer needed to know how much we were charging them, whether we were charging them an annual quarterly fee or if there's a fee in the fund, whether it's a front end ABC fund. You know, we always had to disclose our costs. Me, just as a financial advisor, making 100 G's a year, I had to do that in writing to the customer. Why can't we enforce that on Live Nation to do that to the artist, to do it to the producers, to make that a law that they have to actually disclose where that money is going?
Absolutely. And they're a publicly traded company, not even private. So yeah, you know, I've thought of a law, Truth, Transparency, Integrity Act. Any rebates. First of all, if you ban the rebates, kick it out, the kickbacks, the legal kickbacks, well, they're hidden anyways, but if they had to show them, they're out of business. But if you were to put it in place and say these rebates had to be disclosed, how much they're being kicked back to, how much people get access to their books, access to their emails, why costs are getting inflated. And these rebates were given to the artist, co-promoter, and then shown to the fans. The fans should see it. The fans should know, why am I paying this much money for tickets? It ain't a scalper. It ain't the valet guy outside. It's not the janitor. It's not the artist. It's Live Nation's 2 sets of books. And now if the fans were able to see this, they can make a choice and say, you know what? This is so messed up. We're not going to go to a show. Or I think in return, what would happen was if Live Nation did do this, they do it, but if it was shown, their executives would go to jail. And their business can't exist without this. They call it the scheme, Mike. That's how they call it. 50 times in one email, one document.
They know what it
the
is.
scheme. They're
not even hiding it. I mean, that's how brazen. They put it in
don't even
writing.
hide it. The scheme. And if that's how I guess state legislatures, if you just ask me off the top of my head, what they could do, they can get involved and say before a ticket goes on sale, they have to show the venue and the promoter. Well, Live Nation is the only promoter, and show what the legal kickback is. I don't, if they want to show their illegal kickbacks, the mafia doesn't like showing their illegal money, but you're forced to show your illegal money. 30 to 40% ticket price decrease overnight.
I mean, that's the thing too with the artists. They're getting screwed too because there's been so much pushback on some of these major artists on the ticket prices. And I think if the fans knew where the money was actually going and how the artists are getting screwed and how little money the artist is actually getting and why they have to charge high prices, and how I think that they would ease up on the artist and focus, instead of being mad at Pearl Jam or being mad at Bruce Springsteen or Taylor Swift or whoever it is, because that's what we've seen a lot over the last couple of years on Facebook and on Twitter. People are very upset that they can't afford to go see their local artist, their national favorite artist anymore. And if people actually knew the scheme, if they saw that on the ticket price, I think that they would change their tune and direct the anger where it truly should be, and not at the artists, but at Live Nation.
Yeah, and I'll just put the simple numbers up there again from the NBC article for your fans. 1.5 million negative. This is over hundreds of shows for your favorite artist, for your favorite independent. Well, there is no independent promoter, but any independent promoter that was forced to work with them. And then for Live Nation, 15 plus $million over here. 2 sets of books, real simple. Don't overcomplicate it. There's 2 books. And you know what? Don't blame the artist. The only thing I will say is I've called lately on some of the artists to speak out because I think it's just gotten so disgusting that I was like, you know what? I've always said for the artists, and some of these people talk me behind the scenes like, Tommy, thank you so much, but we can never say a word because I said, listen, I get it. You'll never get a show. I'm with you. You know what I mean? But I was like, you know what? If 2 or 3 big artists came out together, I think the fans are so pissed with what's going on that they wouldn't get any shows, but I think people would go to a farm like 100 miles away and pay them whatever, even if the expenses were more because no infrastructure is set up, and pay for it just in spite to change the system, because it's not
Absolutely.
a system. It's just criminal. It's just criminal. There's
Yeah,
artists are getting stolen from every day.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if Justin Bieber and Taylor Swift and Bruce Springsteen, like that, because those are like 3 major, especially Taylor and Bruce, because they tour a lot. Maybe Bruce not as much because he's starting to retire, but it's just amazing that, like, if certain artists actually got together and organized, I think something could be done. But I think a lot of times they all look at what happened to Pearl Jam. Pearl Jam thought other artists were going to back them. They had talked to some artists, and then Pearl Jam goes out and does it, and everyone else is like, we're good. Thanks for doing it, but we're good. We're not, like, who were a lot of their friends, like, they kind of backed off on it because they saw that they had no real power over it if everyone doesn't do it together. But it needs to happen. I don't know. It really needs to happen.
And you talked about the power, like the Soviet Union and the mafia.
Yeah.
I'll put one more thing out there with what Live Nation does about these rebates, because you asked about the 2 sets of books.
Yeah.
Those kickbacks. Live Nation goes to the arena, the stadium, a state-owned one from information that I have. They go to a state-owned one, and they say, give us $15 a head back for this show or no show for you. But you know what? They even go further. They said, we want business from the whole last year, $15 a head back. It's called retro. The mafia, think of the mafia. They go to a local protection money. The mafia, they go to a local store, say, you have to pay us $1,000 for us to protect you. The mafia would never have the nerve to say, you have to pay us $1,000 a month from the last year while we weren't protecting you. That's how far this goes. It's unchecked power.
When you say 2 sets of books too, when you talk about, like, say there's a tour, like you said, where Live Nation made $15 million, but they show the other set of books where they lost $1.5 million. Who pays for that? Is the artist paying for that, or is the artist reduced because they have a percentage of sales that they take? Like, how does that work? Who pays for that 1.5 million if there's a loss? Meanwhile, Live Nation is taking it in on the other set of books and has a profit.
So the number one people that pay for it are the fans, because the fans fund it. Without the fans paying for it, this never happens. Now the artist on those shows, this was on the basis. I'll tell you the information I've seen. Information that I've seen. It shows the majority of all these shows, the artists are losing money. There's some that make money, but the majority losing massive amounts of money. Or Live Nation decides, okay, we're going to let them make $50,000 for the show. Live Nation's profiting massive money, bragging about it on the other set of books, on the back end, high-fiving, Magic Man, we're making so much money. They love their scheme. They're good at it. It's real simple, though. And it's just gangsters in suits. There's just no difference. It's just bad.
It's amazing. The Live Nation is deciding who gets paid, which artists they are going to actually make 50.
Who survives, who dies, they choose.
Yeah. And no wonder why none of the artists will say anything. They're all kissing their asses trying to say, we need to get paid. We need to make sure they give us our 50 G's. And that's another reason why you see a lot of artists cancel tours now. This is happening a lot where artists will announce a tour and all of a sudden they're like, oh, I'm going to have to cancel this tour because I decided I need to spend more time with my family or some BS. They'll have some excuse. It happens a lot now because they realize that if their tour is only 3/4 sold, they're going to lose a shitload of money. It's because Live Nation's also robbing them. It just happens a lot now, doesn't it?
Yeah, and Live Nation doesn't care if that they want them to put on that show if it's 3/4 full and they're losing money, because Live Nation's making money anyways. Live Nation makes money on every single event. They run everything from the hot dog man to the parking, as you saw in the DOJ, well, I'll call it the state's trial, the lawn chairs.
Yeah, all the
$15,
contractors.
$15, I think, to rent a lawn chair because they said lawn chair was a security risk to bring in your lawn chair. Now lawn chairs are dangerous. It's a weapon. So they'll charge people $15 for. Meanwhile, I have information where they go to state-owned venues and the state is scared. The venue. They're like, look, people are going to die here. We're afraid. We need security. We need more security. And Live Nation comes back and says, if you want more security and you don't take it how we want it, we skip this show for you. And we don't even skip this show for you. We skip your whole entire arena and don't do any shows. Look at Astroworld. People die. And this is what their company they can control that over a state-owned venue. It's pure power. It's unchecked pure power, and it's just criminal. And it's wrong.
There was a question about Astroworld, actually. Karen D said, did they hold Live Nation accountable for what happened at Travis Scott concert?
I'm not sure on what the outcome was with that. Live Nation settled every single case in there. They settled every single case. If the information I had was put to the attorneys of Astroworld, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have settled because it shows why. If you watch the documentary, it's really sad. People die in there, but it's like, why? Why did this happen? Oh, let's blame the artist. Let's blame this one. Let's blame this one. They always blame. Let's blame a scalper. Scalper did it. Let's blame anyone. But the blame is on this company. I have the information. I have that information just there of how they do it with state-owned venues. That's not even you think of a state-owned venue can't protect their fans with taxpayer money. They can't protect their own citizens because this company has that much power. And people will go to me, well, that doesn't make sense, Tommy. Why would a state venue not listen? Why would they listen to them? Because they need to fill their seats. They need to pay their bills. And the only way they're going to is there's only one company. There's the Live Nation crime family. That's it. There's no other entertainment family.
Because they need Ticketmaster and they need the artist. Because the artist, if Live Nation says boycott and any artist crosses that boycott line, then they're out.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Mike, because people from information that I've just seen too, people blame the artists like, oh, they picked this stadium where they play. The artists pick where they are. Live Nation has incentives in arenas where if they put on a certain amount of shows, they get paid massive extra. It could be in the millions of dollars in these kickbacks after. You think they're putting these artists in those stadiums where they're making the kickbacks. And one more thing on the side we were just talking about here of the criminality. Think of I talked about the rebates. Now, as a promoter, Mike, you're putting on a show, okay? And let's say it was TD Garden. It's not TD Garden. I have hundreds of stadiums across the nation that have this. Live Nation has nothing to do with the venue again. They don't own it. They don't operate it. You put the show on, now you have to pay rent. And we're asking why ticket prices are higher, okay? You're the promoter. You have to pay rent. Live Nation is getting a percentage of the rent that you are putting on for the show that they have nothing to do with it. So where does this money come from? The rent gets increased. It's real basic economics.
Yeah.
And that doesn't that suck?
The promoter, the artist, the public, the fans, that's who's paying for that. And
you said an accountant, wouldn't that suck if your competitor, they're having a client, they're getting paid off your clients?
Yeah.
You're doing the work And
I mean,
meanwhile, you
imagine a
might lose.
restaurant. You own a restaurant. You have a function room, and you're renting it out for, let's say, $1,000 for a wedding or something like that, right? But the restaurant next door is getting 250 of that and not doing anything for the event. I mean, that is crazy. It doesn't make
And
sense.
why
But
do the costs go up? It's
yeah,
really simple economics. They have to go up. The venues have to raise the costs up. And that's besides the kickbacks because they're paying the kickbacks or they're paying the competitor for no reason. The
mm,
mafia could never have that much power.
right.
Never.
Well, this
And
is what this is the
anybody
new
tells me the
mafia.
mafia has more, I'd say, please tell me how.
Yeah, no. This is the new mafia. I mean, that's what's basically happened is a lot of these big corporations that get these monopolies going. They're the real mafias. They really are. And this is what they do. They control everything. They could, like in this one, they're controlling the artists through the talent agencies. They're controlling the artists with exclusivity of owning all the venues. They're controlling them with the ticketing. And then they own all the politicians, like we talked about, and even the judges, where you can't even get a hearing. You can't even get a trial. You've been waiting all of these years. That's so disgusting. Is there anything like if I know we don't have a million people watching, but the people watching, the people that will watch in the replay, is there anything that they can be doing to help you and help just overall in this situation to kind of shut down Live Nation and break them up and maybe put some of their executives in jail? What can people do to help out? Is there anything that they could be doing right now?
So I'm calling for people now to go to your look. The state AGs showed me there is a path. They didn't cave and they decided to take this case to a trial and win. That they're showing their monopoly. Now they need to be convicted as being a mafia. So people, fans, taxpayers that are pissed that they're funding this criminal enterprise and paying these ridiculous price for tickets, because this is why I've continued this for the fans, because they get ripped off every day, and a music scene that I love. Complain to your AGs, complain to your governors, complain to your legislators, complain to your congressmen. We got Senator Warren up here. She speaks publicly all the time about Live Nation. Complain to her. Any state, complain to your politicians, regardless of party, Republican, Democrat, Independent, alien, anything. It doesn't matter. Complain to them. And you know what? If they don't make a stance and they don't do anything, vote them out of office. All those state AGs that continue the case, I'm calling for everybody to vote for them, regardless if they're Republican or Democrat. All the ones that caved, I'm calling for everybody to vote them out of office. Because you know what fans do? Lobbyists, Live Nation pays the lobbyists a lot of money. Lobbyists don't vote. It's only one person voting. Fans vote. So you know what? Use your power of voting. And it's something this party, I mean, this country is so divided, obviously. There's only one thing that it's united about. Ending this Live Nation monopoly, but they need to be aware, the fans from all parties, to end this Live Nation criminal enterprise. Speak up, be vocal. Look at even the news media. We were just talking about it. Control. That breaking NBC article, there was no coverage by one entertainment reporter in the whole entire nation. You know why that is?
Because they're controlled.
Yeah.
They want exclusive interviews, access to celebrities, and they'll get blackballed.
It's
They
just
won't
like
be
an
able to get
artist.
backstage. They won't get the tickets. Yeah.
If an artist speaks up, no show for you. Now, there is no entertainment industry. If there was 10 different promoters, it's a different story. There's one. So entertainment reporter speaks out, no information, no job. It's pretty
Yeah,
simple.
you're not getting the backstage passes or getting the tickets to the Super Bowl or the
You're just
next
not
Taylor
getting
Swift
you're not even
concert.
getting a story. If you don't get a
Yeah.
story,
Yeah, you
guess
get no
what? You get
access.
fired.
Yeah. I mean, this goes and even with like NBC doing it, because like I look at NBC like what do we call it now? NBC Now or MS Now, whatever that is. I mean, they do tours too. They do events in theaters, and I guarantee you they're doing some Live Nation events. Like even these big journalist outfits are sometimes doing events with Live Nation. So that's another reason why they have to be careful too. I mean, even me when I'm talking about it tonight, like sometimes I get hit up, especially with my music background and my cannabis background. I used to get hit up a lot to promote certain events around town. Sometimes they were Live Nation. I met Stained at a Live Nation event, a couple times actually. So even for me, a small fish, I sit there and say, geez, if I do this show tonight, I know I'm probably not gonna get screwed one way or the other down the line on this, but I don't care because for me it doesn't matter. This isn't my livelihood or whether Live Nation allows me in their venue or whatever. But for other people, it really is. I'm not an entertainment reporter generally. I'm more just have conversations on here on topics I like, so it doesn't really matter for me. I don't have big sponsors, but for a lot of people, that's part of the calculus. It's definitely something that matters. I want to ask you because on helping, this is an election year, so there are a lot of you know politicians on the campaign trail right now, and I would definitely tell people if you're at one of those events, especially if they're running for Congress or Senate or Attorney General or Governor, these are the questions you should ask. I would ask them: do you support breaking up Live Nation? Do you support making sure that they expose their double booking, that they make sure that they show the real books to the artists and the promoters, and they stop extorting people? These are the questions I would definitely ask the politicians on the campaign trail. But also, I want to ask you, Tommy D, because we asked how people could help, and people are wondering why the artists don't do something. You and I understand why, but I want to ask: are there any organizations out there helping, speaking out on this, or even kind of trying to get the artists to get together and do something about this? Are there? Because I know there are some musician, or organizations out there that do speak up for artists, that do organize artists, but I really haven't seen them speaking up on this issue. Are there any organizations that are helping that you think people should support on this?
I don't have any to say. None of them are. Look, I'm the most independent person out there for artists, for independent promoters, for fans. Um, None of them are supporting me. None of them are come out publicly, or at least some of the bigger ones. You look at MACA, the Music Artists Coalition.
Yeah,
It sounds good, right?
right.
Protect the artists. Guess what? It's owned by Irving Azoff, funded
Oh
it,
wow.
who was the orchestra of the Live Nation Ticketmaster merger with
Yeah,
Michael Rapino. They call him the
yeah,
Poison Dwarf for a reason.
yeah.
So I've challenged them. Hey, you're for the artists. Speak out and say something. No words from them. So, on my side right here, I can't steer anyone to any organizations. I wish I could. It'd be nice if there was bigger groups. I can't steer them anywhere. But I would tell them, like you said, Mike, people vote. But I wouldn't just say, hey, break up Live Nation. I'd ask your politician, are you okay with Live Nation being a criminal enterprise and running a racket and making us pay 40% higher for tickets through running a criminal enterprise in the billions and billions of dollars? Are you going to investigate? Are you going to hold them accountable? Are they just above the law? And if their answer is, I'm not going to do anything, you make the choice. If this issue matters to you, then go to the next politician. Ask them the same question. And I would vote in the people if this matters to you. If this doesn't matter to somebody, vote for who you want. But if this issue matters to a lot of people, and this is something that can be bipartisan. The state AG showed it. A bipartisan group stuck together against all odds and won. So, that's a nice thing, I guess, in this country. We never have it. They're that bad that they made something bipartisan, only bipartisan issue in the country.
Wow.
So
I'm bringing up.
you can push them,
Yeah.
but don't just ask them to break them up. Ask them to put them in jail. Ask them to investigate. That's the poison dwarf. Yes.
Yeah, a lot of times people, you see a lot of these YouTube videos about the Illuminati. If there is actually an Illuminati, Irving is part of it. I mean, this guy, it's just wild. I mean, MCA, a lot of times people used to say MCA was a mafia record label. He worked there. He was the chairman at one point for MCA. He was at Geffen. He was at Warner Music. He ran Ticketmaster and Live Nation, like you said, during their merger. He's run. Look at this one. He founded the performance rights organization Global Music Rights. The company administered publishing for artists including Metallica, Bruce Springsteen, John Lennon, George Harrison, Pearl Jam, and Bruno Mars. I mean, holy shit. He used to run Madison Square Garden Company. I mean, this is just he was he ran the Eagles at one point, right? Wasn't he the manager or something? I mean, he goes back to David Crosby and the Beach Boys. I mean, this guy
His
is
nickname is the Poison Dwarf in the
yeah.
industry. That's for a reason.
Yeah, he co-produced the movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It's one of those movies I watch over and over again in my youth. It's just unbelievable how much this guy's been around and how much he's gotten away with. You know, there's also a lot of questions about the industry too, whether it's the record labels or these touring companies, like wanting their artists to die because they make more money off them when they're dead with the insurance and the record sales after they die. I mean, that's how shady the industry has been known for decades, like even before a guy like Irving came along. But I mean, he's in that mold. You just can't trust any of these guys, and
And
it's
you ask
crazy.
those organizations, Music Artists Coalition, would
Yeah,
sound great. People are
yeah,
supporting them. Oh, I support the Music Artists Coalition.
yeah. It's
And
this
then guess
guy.
what? These
It's Irving.
organizations are going to our states. They're in our state assemblies and they're saying pass laws on ticket resales, pass laws on this, pass laws on that. You people are so deep in it and you're so in Live Nation's pocket. You're in Live Nation's criminal crime family. You shouldn't be telling any legislature what law to pass. You should be listening to independent people. And that's the problem. There's not many.
It's unbelievable. Really, it really stinks that this is going on. And you'd think with artists, you know, because they are like, especially musicians, they're like the heart of culture, like in America and the world, and they have a lot of more political sway than people think. You know, a lot of politicians, what are they playing at their campaign rallies? They're playing Bruce Springsteen. They're playing this one and that one. And it does mean a lot. There's a reason why, you know, in 1994, whatever it was, Bill Clinton had Pearl Jam at the White House, you know, and that was like an early front runner. Now it's just very common that you see these artists and look at Trump, like Trump heavily courted 50 Cent and all these hip hop artists, Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg. Look at what Snoop Dogg, how, I mean, they matter. Their voices really matter in politics, so much so that these major politicians will court them. But on this, they're silent and they're getting shaken down. And it's just horrible because this is what they rely on. This is their income. They don't have a record label anymore to pay out. They don't make much on merchandise like you think. It's and Live Nation's getting a cut of the merchandise too. I mean, they got a cut of everything. So this is really screwing artists. I hope something's done on this.
Yeah, I
God
feel
bless you,
bad.
Tommy.
I feel bad for all the artists. The big artists, at least they made it. They got money. They want to have
Right.
people. They want to fill stadiums though. Like they came from nothing, most of them, and they enjoy. A lot of it's not about the money. They want to literally and have their fans enjoy it in stadiums. You know, so I get
Yeah.
it. You know, I don't blame them for that reason. But mid-level artists, you know, they're getting killed. Newer artists, they don't even exist. When there were so many independent promoters, we were developing artists every day.
That's
Artist
right.
development is being killed. They've
That's what
killed the whole
yeah.
entire club scene. And killed the whole entire industry. It's just there's this massive ticket inflation. It's called Live Nation inflation. Look at the numbers. It's not real.
Yeah. They even take over the smaller clubs now in the theaters, and they've definitely done that a lot too, where they go in and that's what they do to raise the prices, and then there's all kinds of shenanigans that go on, like you said, with the competing clubs, and it's a game, it's a mafia. It truly is. We see it even on the smaller club level now. Um, you know, and what you said, the artist development, that's the real shame on this because they're basically ruining the industry for the future. Like in 20 years from now, 30 years from now, there's not going to be the artist in or the fans. Like, because you look at somebody like I keep going back to Pearl Jam, but the reason there is a Pearl Jam is because Eddie Vedder could afford to go to a show back in the
Mhm.
day. He could afford that $10 ticket. Kurt Cobain could afford to go to these concerts. Uh, you know, and same with me, like even as a fan, never mind the musicians, but so many musicians, they get inspired by going to that concert as a teenager, and then they decide to go home and start playing. And that's how the industry really cultivates new musicians, by just having these concerts and allowing the fans. Now, when a lot of times when people are going to these big concerts, it's $1,000 a ticket, and it's the CEOs of different companies there, and it's not the teenagers anymore. It's unless they have a rich parent. Like, Eddie Vedder's kids probably get to go to all the concerts because he's rich, but the poor kids don't. They can't afford the tickets anymore, and it happens a lot, which I think is really shooting the industry in the foot for the future. I mean, there's no more artist development. There's no more fan development. Like, you're leaving behind the new fans who have no money, who later on might have money and be able to pay extra for the front row seats, but you're not even letting the kids in the building anymore. The kids, the cheap seats are really expensive now. There's no more like, $10 tickets anymore. No more $20 tickets. It's everything's $100 and up, and a lot of times it's even more than that. That's what really sucks. It's like they're a parasite on the music industry and the artist development. Glad you brought that up, because that was a point I wanted to make tonight. It's definitely true.
Yeah, it's really disgusting. Like myself, I was lucky enough. My dad was working class family. And at least like when I was a kid, the prices were reasonable. My dad was working class, paycheck to paycheck. I was able to go to Michael Jackson, Bruce Springsteen, Madonna. That's what got me into the scene. I became the promoter who I am, and I'm battling Live Nation because I went to those concerts, like you said. Now, parents have to make a choice, or families, to go to a concert. And you know what? These working class people still go. The problem is they only go to one show. They pay $1,000. They four family members, $4,000. They missed their rent, they missed their car payments, and you have to
They're
choose.
taking out loans.
You
They're
have
taking out loans to go to a
second
concert.
mortgages to take your kids to a concert, and people should not have to choose to bring their kids to a show. To me, music is a basic human right. It's from our ancient civilization. Our whole history is humanity, and Live Nation is taking away a basic human right.
It's true. When I was like a teenager in my early 20s too, like I'd be going to 4, 5, 6 concerts at the amphitheater. Great Woods, Tweeter Center, whatever you call it back then. We'd go to 4. My friends would all go. We'd get like, which concerts we going this summer, and we'd all plan. We're going to Steve Miller, we're going to Van Halen, we're going to this, we're going to the Monsters of Rock. We'd all like get together and figure out who's going where. And I'd go, like, I'm like, same with you. I was very much a working class kid, and my parents weren't paying for those tickets. I was. Sometimes I put it on my credit card. But I think the most expensive concert I paid for was Woodstock. Remember Woodstock, the reunion, the first one, not the second one. I remember putting that on my credit card, and there was a lot of money even then for that. But it's not like today. I can imagine what you would pay for that type of festival where Metallica and all these major bands are on it over a 3-day weekend with camping. It would be probably tens of thousands of dollars. It was hundreds of dollars back then. It's so different now. That's the thing, that the kids and the working class people are being left out, and they're the heart of the music industry. They're the ones that end up becoming promoters. That's what inspired me too. A lot of times I remember going to some festivals. I saw Tree, one of my favorite hardcore bands, at Great Woods on a side stage. And then I became friends with Dave Tree, and I started booking some of his shows later on. And it exposed me to a lot by being able to get that $20 ticket and going to shows. And I don't think I would have that life experience that I do now and be as good at business. And because, a lot of the music promotion and budgeting, and even being in a band, I think a lot of band members become very kind of money oriented, especially the band member that is focused on the business end. There's always one, usually it's the drummer or the singer. I don't know why, but usually there's one person of the band that kind of focuses on that money stuff and the budgeting. And I think it's very helpful. I think a lot of times that's why you see sometimes band members and promoters and managers get hired into bigger, corporations and agencies and things like that, because they have a mind for culture and money and marketing and budgeting. And I think it's important. And that's dying. And it's dying because of this monopoly, and the fact that people aren't even being inspired by it because they're not even going to the shows. Like you said, instead of going to 5 or 6 shows, you go to one show if you're lucky, if you can afford it. And you go to that one show, and maybe you don't go to a show for another 2 or 3 years because you're still paying off that one show. I mean, that's how crazy it has become.
Yeah, and if you go to that one show and pay $1,000 or 2,000, what are you not doing? You ain't going to the nightclubs. So you're not
That's right.
supporting any of the younger independents, and that's why the clubs close. And you talked about Woodstock. That probably inspired you, right?
Yeah,
In the
totally.
industry. Well, the promoter
Yeah.
for that, his name is John Scher. He's actually one of the independents that's actually out there openly supporting me. He was the
Oh, he is.
legendary John Scher. He was huge in industry, used to produce hundreds and hundreds of events. You know how many events he's down to a year right now?
Probably zero. What?
One or two events a year from this Live Nation mafia.
Wow. And he's supporting you. Is he getting any pushback for that?
Well, he's got only one or two shows a year, maybe one show. He's famous, he's legendary, but he's supporting me. I give him props and respect for doing so, and many won't. But you know, he's obviously not bound out of Live Nation to be only down to one show. But look, the guy put on Woodstock. He put on some of the biggest shows in the past.
That was wild. I gotta say, it was kind of a shit show too, though. It was like a festival night. I was like, God damn. We left a day early actually because it got so crazy. We were like, we can't handle this. It was like, yeah, we were young. We were like in our 20s, you know, it's like early 20s, and it was almost too much for us. I'll never forget. We got pulled over going on the way on 95 in Massachusetts by a female state trooper. Had a ton of weed in the car. We were like underage, so we had tons of alcohol in the car, and we got pulled over because the Jeep we were driving, you know, somebody's parents' Jeep, they forgot to re-register the car. So the
Oh
state
shit.
trooper should have towed us and searched us. She's like, "Where you going?" We're going to Woodstock. We're on this festival. And she's like, "Oh, you guys are so sweet. I'm gonna let you go. Go have fun at Woodstock." Because we weren't drunk or anything. We hadn't been smoking yet. You know, we were straight and narrow till we got there. But we were loaded up. You know, if she searched a vehicle, our weekend was over. But she let us go, and I'll never forget her for that. Thank you so much, that female state trooper.
That's
But
awesome. She wanted to go. The
she
price is
did.
affordable.
She
She could
did.
go.
She was like, "You guys look like nice kids. Go have fun." Um, but it's just wild. I just can't believe that we're letting them get away with this. And someone said the RICO Act. I mean, that's the thing.
Racketeering.
Yeah. The next presidential election, this has to be a big issue. We can't, because Trump has let them get away with this. His DOJ, they are crooked. It's obvious. That's why they let Live Nation off on this. And whoever is president next, that needs to be a campaign issue. If you're in New Hampshire, I know we have a lot of New Hampshire people listening to us. You see those presidential candidates come up. They're going to be coming up over the next year or two, I guarantee you, because these elections start early now. And they're already talking about who's going to run for president next. When they start hitting Manchester, New Hampshire, and Nashua, New Hampshire, people need to ask them about Live Nation. What are you going to do to break up this monopoly, bring prices down, save the music industry? We need to do it as consumers because these artists can't do it. We have to do it for them. It's so obvious. I hope it becomes a big issue. I'm frustrated by it. It drives me nuts what's going on.
Yeah,
Um,
from coming from the business in there and going to those concerts, it's terrible what's going on every day, and it's terrible they've ruined the whole entire industry. It's terrible how the artists have to be this shh, be quiet, like what kind of business is that? You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's not a business. It's criminal. And what they do to the fans, that's why I've continued my case. I turned down Live Nation's money so many times I can't even count. And in the beginning, like I just wanted when they took my festival away, I just wanted my money back. I wanted my festival. I was pissed, you know what I mean? But over time, all the information I've seen and how disgusting it is how they operate this scheme and this racket, that's why I've continued my case to get it in front of a jury, to expose this information and evidence for change so ticket prices can drop 30 to 40%. Independent promoters can thrive. People have kids. I got kids. I got a 7-year-old, a 12-year-old. One of them wants to be one that don't want me to say which one, they'll get mad. One of them wants to be a concert promoter. I'm like, no, you got to go to college. Well, you didn't go to college, Daddy. It doesn't matter. You can't do anything with Live Nation and Ticketmaster. You can't be a promoter. Good luck. They'll own you. They're like, well, I'm like, yeah, if I win, and this criminal enterprise gets taken down, yeah, you can thrive, but you didn't have those opportunities. And, I was grateful to have that opportunity to come from nothing, work hard, build myself there. And it's a shame that other people can't do the same. There's tons of kids, other people's kids that love music, have a passion. And that's where the creativity is killed too. You talked about that party was too crazy. Good. There was creativity. There's no creativity anymore. It's just a Live Nation way because independents make things creative. And that's the artist development too. Independents develop all these new breaking artists. Think how many artists we never even heard of that are better than these artists right now.
Totally.
Because there's no independents to break them.
Yeah, there's nobody breaking them. And we lost radio, and we lost a lot of the print, the alternative. Every town had a print alternative. They're all gone. A lot of the big radio stations that, played music of locals is gone. And that's the thing, like even back in the day, that like I remember the Bosstones. They were getting championed. The Mighty Mighty Bosstones were getting championed by WFNX. And they were getting a little play. They were starting to get popular. They were playing some of the FNX radio festivals. But FNX was like the third ranked probably radio station in Boston, because we had 3 big time rock stations.
Okay.
And BCN was number 1, and all of a sudden BCN kind of grabbed them for the festival, and the Bosstones, that's when the Bosstones broke through. And it's because of the competition between these radio stations that the Bosstones really broke through. And it's like competition. I see that so much. If you don't have competition, bands aren't going to break through because they can't go to the other radio station. They can't go to the other alternative to Ticketmaster or Live Nation. You need competition because competition is what breeds an opportunity for a band. And I look at wrestling, WWE, as the same thing. The best thing to happen to wrestlers is AEW. It gave them an opportunity to say, hey, if I'm not getting the push in WWE, maybe I can look at AEW. And one of the big things that wrestlers complained about, even the ones who were making good money at WWE, is they didn't get the time off. There was too much focus on, we got to be on the road 7 days a week, 365 days a year, which kills people. It literally kills people. It turns people into drug addicts, alcoholics.
Yeah.
They don't get to heal from concussions. They have to be on the road, and it creates broken families too. And we saw what happened with Chris Benoit and a lot. I mean, there's so much tragedy. They have series about the tragic lives of wrestlers. And a lot of times it's because one company ran the industry. There was no opportunity to go to some other network where maybe you wouldn't have to tour 365 days a year. Maybe you could just do it, a couple times a month. And now once AEW came along, you saw that a lot of wrestlers could be a part-time wrestler. You didn't have to do it all the time. Competition is so important, especially for artists and creatives, whether you're a actor, musician, writer, producer. We need competition. We definitely need competition. It gives people, it allows, like you said, up-and-comers to get an opportunity, get a leg hold in there. And it just doesn't exist anymore. It's just one company runs everything, and you got to go along with them. You got to kiss their bum, and hopefully they'll pay you someday. Like, that's how it is now. It just
You're right on the money. It's just basic economics. You have competition, prices go down. You have competition, businesses thrive. New people get involved. Creative ideas. There is no competition. It's the Live Nation entertainment family. That's it. There's no opportunity.
There's none. Hopefully it changes. I'm wishing you the best of luck on this, and I love that you're in Mass now too. We call ourselves mass holes. I don't know if you're ready for that yet, but you're from New Jersey.
I'm good with the mass hole because the way you guys drive, but I'm from Jersey. We're very similar. So Massachusetts, cool. It's just like Jersey, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Jersey has better pizza from what I hear. That's what all my Jersey friends say that live here.
That's hands down.
Yeah. But we probably have better. Do you do roast beef? You're in an area that probably has some roast beef sandwiches. Have you tried any of those roast beef sandwiches? Do you like those or not from
Yeah,
Jersey?
roast beef fire, and but they don't do them in Jersey much. And steak tips. That's a Massachusetts thing if people don't know. Steak tips are up here. I came up here. I'm like, what the hell's a steak tip? So
Really? They don't have
that's
steak
yeah.
tips in other places. That's funny. I didn't realize that.
And
I
you call
figured
it, and you call
Jersey
and you
probably
call
did some
and you
steak
call your
tips.
pizza pizza. When I first
Yeah.
came up here, I was wearing a Jets jersey, and I was up here and when I just moved up here for business, and I go to the first pizza place, and I was like, "Can I have a cheese pie?" They're like, "We don't have any." And I'm like, "Damn, these people really hate the Jets, you know? Don't hate on me. At least I'm loyal." So now next pizza place, we don't have any. I'm like, "Dude, it's right there." They're like, "That's a pizza. It's not a cheese pie." So that's what we call it in Jersey.
It's
I
funny.
learned it
The
here now.
lingo.
Now I'm a mass soul and a Jersey cat. Still Jersey
Now
street
you
style.
now you gotta order pizza. That's funny. I didn't realize that. It's hilarious. Well, I appreciate you being here. I guess what's next, and is like I would love to get updates. Anything upcoming? And also, I want to know: are there any media outlets that have been supporting you? I saw you on a podcast recently. I'm wondering who that was, and is anybody else reaching out in the media? You mentioned NBC has done a story. Anything going on that?
Yeah, I was just on the Free Press that's owned by CBS. They did a 10-minute documentary on my story, and about Live Nation and ticketing. But this isn't about me. Story on my case. I don't listen about that. Like I said, I continue this now, like for a greater good. But there should be there should be massive media on these two sets of books, this criminal enterprise, that this racketeering is going, as your audience member said, RICO. Okay, it's RICO. It's racketeering that this is going on in America, unchecked and unleft. So media outlets, people should be pushing. Again, I don't know how much you can push a media outlet, but this push your politicians. Your politicians get things open. Push your politicians to force investigations into this criminal enterprise to shut it down.
Definitely. I hope I'm wishing the best of luck on this lawsuit because it will help all of us. And I feel like you're like our hope to help all these musicians and promoters out there and the future of music too. I mean, we don't have radio anymore. There's no more MTV. There's no more even zines out there. It's all internet and live concerts. And if we don't have the live concerts, I think we're going to lose a lot of people, and especially with the cost now, it's crazy. I mean, we look at the Coldplay show that happened where these two executives got caught on the kiss cam, and I just laugh because I'm like, that's the people that can afford to go to see Coldplay now. It's no more kids, it's the executives, which is it's just funny. It's just like, well, I guess they got what they wanted when they got caught on the kiss cam cheating, but it's like it's just funny, like because that's the audience now. It's the executives that you can't the kids can't afford to go unless their mother or father is an executive, I guess. I mean, it's sad.
Yeah, it's definitely really sad. My case, I'm in limbo. The last time I was in court, Mike, me and my director of legal went to go sit by my lawyer. I'm the plaintiff. We got ushered by the bailiff. Past When I walked in, it was really nice. There was hundreds of fans out there. I was shocked at a federal court with justice for Tommy D signs, lower ticket prices. It was cool. I was like, damn, I'm never quitting now. But it gave me some energy when you get a little tired after a certain amount of years. Me and my director legal got ushered, and we start. Okay, I go. Let me sit 2 rows back. No. Then all of a sudden, there's all these news reporters in there. They took us and put us to the last row in the courtroom. I've asked lawyers across the nation, antitrust experts, have you guys ever seen that? They said no.
Do they even run the courts?
I don't know. I'm not saying that.
It
I've
seems
always said
like it.
I respect the courts. I'll just let you know. Just let you know from my last hearing where I looked at as like basically 1960s. Go to the back of the bus.
Yeah. Do you have any upcoming court hearings? Have they given you any like updates on when your trial might be? You're supposed to have another hearing, right?
No, the judge said she was going to rule within a few days after that. On Live Nation was trying to knock out for absolutely no reason 497 of my 500 exhibits after 16 years because they don't want your viewers and the fans to see this because they don't want ticket prices to drop by 30 to 40%. No ruling ever happened. And just sitting here waiting, just like I have been for 16 years.
And do you have attorneys that are advising you? What are they saying about it?
So I have one attorney I do want to thank. His name is Andrew Smith. He's a champion. He's way better than all the Live Nation attorneys, except he's one person. You know, it's him and his wife's run company business, and he's good. I battled their attorney law firm named Greenberg Troy. It's one of the largest law firms in the world. I battled 2,000 plus attorneys and 2,000 paralegals. I have one attorney. So it's a battle. I've been having to do behind the scenes legal work for 16 years to continue this case. But my lawyer's really good. My lawyer says my case, overwhelming the amount of evidence I have, and that I will win the case and liability hands down. They can never guarantee you anything, but he said it's so strong, overwhelming. I have 500 trial exhibits, Mike. Live Nation has 0. I have tons of witnesses. Live Nation has 0. I've been talking to the court for 16 years. I feel like every time I'm there, I'm talking about why the tooth fairy is not real. Why are we not talking about the evidence I have? Why are we not talking about the tape recordings I have of their executives confessing they did this to me? Why are we talking about the tooth fairy? But Live Nation wants to talk about the tooth fairy. So, you know, it's pretty hard when somebody walks into a court, Live Nation attorneys, they walk in with an orange and they're holding a banana in their hand. They walk in, you know, they say they're holding a banana in their hand and they say, this is an orange. Well, if they get everybody to believe it's an orange, they're holding a banana. What can you really say?
Ooh, they're just holding a banana in the tailpipe. I mean, this is what driving me nuts is they won't give you a hearing because I
don't want to hear it.
I've
I
seen
want a
from this,
trial
I
date
think
in
you're
front of
gonna
a
win.
jury.
Yeah, like this is what's so frustrating. This is the power that they have. They have you have a winning case against Live Nation and you can't get a trial.
Could the
Like that says it
mafia?
all.
I asked the mafia hitman the other week. I said, could any of the 5 families not having an alibi, having no evidence, could they postpone a federal court case and hold it back for 16 years? His answer was like, are you kidding me? And when about the evidence about the criminal enterprise and the kickbacks, he said RICO, racketeering, jail, 15 years. So that's what should be happening.
Totally. Hopefully it does happen. We have your Twitter right now pinned, your Twitter account pinned in the chat. I hope people follow Tommy D. You've also got the website we promoted as well tonight. I really want to see you do something with this. I'd love to have you back on the show too to give us any updates, or especially if anything goes off with this, you know, AG, the thing going on right now with Ticketmaster and Live Nation. I'm sure there's going to be some more updates on that, you know, when they decide what's going to happen to them. So I'd love to have you back for that as well, because this is something that bugs me, and I know a lot of people are frustrated out there, whether they're artists, producers, or especially the fans. I mean, the fans have had enough of this. A lot of people have, even like me, just stopped going. I'm not going to any big concerts anymore. It's just because I know it's such a scam.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. And I would tell everybody, all the viewers, reach out to your state AGs, reach out to their senators, tell them to call me. I got the cookbooks.
Yeah, have you heard from any of them?
I had late Congressman Bill Pascrell. I have an expert report by his name is Dr. Richard Barnett. He wrote a report for me. He just, you know, in the concert industry, he wrote the book on the business. Anybody's kid goes to college right now for concerts, you'll read his book. He wrote it. He looked at all the internal information that I'm talking to you about, and he wrote a report. And it shows in the report the 2 sets of books, the financial fraud, the illegal kickbacks, and just theft. And this report was suppressed successfully by the Department of Justice Senator, not Senator, give the guy a pay raise, Department of Justice Philip Sellinger, the head of it in New Jersey, that was Live Nation's attorney as well. But this report was sent by the late Congressman Bill Pascrell. His team found it on Pacer. Live Nation's attorney did the biggest oopsie. They accidentally uploaded it onto the court website. We didn't even know it was there. He sent it to Congress, asked for the Senate, asked for the DOJ to investigate. He was supporting me. Unfortunately, he passed away. There's some others that are supporting me. I won't say their names because they don't want it out there. But anybody, you reach out to your congressman, you reach out to your senator, you reach out to your governor, you reach out to any politician that wants change. This is happening across the whole nation. Racketeering is where it happens over multiple times, multiple states. This is happening, this criminal enterprise is across the whole entire nation, actually the world. So there's politicians out there. Some of them, if you care about your fans, if you care about your voters, because those are the fans, you care about the taxpayers, investigate. And anybody, any of them, feel free to hit me up. I got the books.
We love it. Tommy D, you're on Twitter. I'll throw up your Twitter too on the screen so people can see that. We had a comment about Kid Rock. Somebody said Kid Rock was getting involved and trying to help. Is he actually?
Yeah, so I want to put this out. I give Kid Rock props. He Kid Rock is was pretty tight in the Trump administration. I'm on to politics, just saying. He was outspoken. He said Live Nation is a monopoly, needs to be broken up. He was in the White House. He testified before Congress saying that this has to stop. It has to stop. He was supposed to be a witness in the trial that just happened, but then the DOJ caved. And I was calling Kid Rock out publicly, asking him, I'm not calling him out, saying, Kid Rock, where are you speaking now? Where's your opinion? He did come out publicly and said, look, this is fucked up what happened. I'm deep in that camp, but I don't care. This is just wrong, and this shouldn't happen, and this shouldn't be the way it is. And this company should not exist the way they do. So he did speak publicly. And I haven't heard anything since the verdict. If he's listening, if anybody wants to ask him, I'd love to hear his thoughts on the verdict of Live Nation being found liable for being a monopoly. But it goes way further. And Kid Rock, actually, to your viewers, thank you to that question. Kid Rock said to the Senate exactly what I'm saying. He said, pull these contracts out, told the Senate, subpoena them. Pull these contracts out, you're going to find massive financial fraud. These are his words, not mine. And people will go to jail. People will go to jail. Exactly what I'm saying right here, Kid Rock was saying. People will go to jail. And it will start with the CEO of Live Nation crime family, Michael Rapino.
Wow. I got to appreciate Kid Rock on that. I'm getting some criticism for other things, but this is good to hear. I hope he talks
I'd love
to
to
his
hear him
friend.
speak up now, though.
Yeah, I'd love to see him talk to his friend Donald Trump and say, what is your DOJ doing? File a new case.
Pissed.
Yeah.
Kid Rock seemed really pissed when that when the DOJ caved through political pressure, call it what it is, lobbying money. Yeah. The DOJ caved, and Kid Rock was pissed. So
wow,
I'd love to hear him speak right now. And if he wants to hit me up.
Yeah, I'd love to have him on the show to talk about it. That would be amazing. You and him, imagine that. That would be amazing. Have Kid Rock on here to talk about Live Nation.
Yeah, hit Michael Rapino up if he lets me open the 2 sets of books on the show. Wow, let's go. I'll tell him you never send an email over.
Yeah, I know he'll never respond, Michael Rapino. I wonder if he's watching from one of his mansions or yachts tonight. Like, probably not.
Well, Live Nation watches everything that I do, so
yeah,
I'm definitely sure.
I've been told
I was told by their own attorneys that they have multiple people watching all my socials and everything that I do. You know, and it's just it's a company with threats. They actually, Mike, just they attempted in the last year, 2 years ago, at a mediation, and I'm not allowed to speak about mediation. But Live Nation attempted after the mediation to bribe my assistant to my door-to-door company and Juice Entertainment. They went and tried to bribe what happened in the mediation. And you know what that was about? That Live Nation was so scared. I wasn't speaking to any streaming service like Amazon or Netflix. I wasn't speaking to anybody. Somebody like uttered the words, and I'm not breaking mediation, Your Honor, because I know you didn't come threatening me, my employee. It was had to be Live Nation. They mentioned the word Netflix. Live Nation came within a week offering money, information, who I'm speaking to at Netflix, what publications I'm speaking to, and wanted my confidential information. I was lucky that she stayed loyal to me and didn't take the money like most people would.
So they're trying to shut you down in case you had a Netflix. Is there any possibility you get something like that going with Netflix or any of these other streaming services to
I
expose you?
never had communication, just like at the time, I never had any communication. So there was never even mentioned, never said.
They were
But if
just
someone
worried
wants to
about
send Netflix to me, send it. Because you know what? Look, Netflix might actually be one that could get
break it
Live
open.
Nation executives put in jail.
Yeah, maybe 50 Cent wants to cover this. He's big into making TV productions about the music industry. Maybe he wants to touch on this. Somebody's got to do it. I mean, I'm glad you're here, Tommy. Yeah, you're a hero. You're a hero to keep doing this at your own expense, and they screwed over your life, and you're still fighting it. And God bless you. And I hope you win this, and it'll help so many people, the fans. Like you said, this is for the fans more than anything else.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I'm not a hero. I'm just a regular person doing the right thing. It's been a long battle, but I do appreciate that.
Awesome. I want to meet up with you sometime too, because we're not too far away. It'd be cool to meet up in person someday and maybe get a roast beef together and just shoot the shit. It's great meeting you. I'm glad so much to have you on the show tonight. Can you promote yourself one more time? Your website, your Twitter, everything else, so people can go follow you.
Yeah, and we'll definitely have to get up because I was recently just out at a local bar and they saw I was on your show and people were like, wow. And they bought me a drink. I didn't even know. I'm like, what's that for? And they're like, oh, because you're on Mike's show. You're on the Young. I was like, whoa, cool. So yeah, good stuff, definitely. But
One of the locals hooked you up. They saw the promo. That's awesome.
yeah, they were like, young jerks, let's go. And I was like, what are these drinks for? But yeah, Tommy D Prime Time. And then it's Tommy D Juice Entertainment.com, Tommy D Juice Entertainment.com. I'm just looking for support. Just your support, your voice. Spread this message. Spread the message, spread the word, and go to your politicians and demand change, demand investigations. I only got one voice. I can only do so much. But all these fans, everybody watching this, everybody's pissed. Bipartisan. Go to your politicians and tell them if you don't, not just what do you want to do with this monopoly? Do you want to fine them $10 million and give them a parking ticket? Are you going to investigate this company for running a criminal enterprise and racket and ripping us off? And ripping off a whole entire industry and robbing everyone. And if you are not going to, you don't have my vote. That's what you can do.
I love it. I'm going to start asking politicians because sometimes I have them on the show. We have a state auditor that comes on the show a lot from the Mass State Auditor. You mentioned some of these venues being publicly owned, state owned. Are there any in Massachusetts like that I could ask her about, maybe to audit, especially if they're connected to Live Nation?
I shoot straight. I don't know off the top of my head if the Live Nation venue in Massachusetts was state owned one was on that list. I can name others, but I will check and I'll give you the information.
That'd be awesome. Because I'd love to see if she'd look into it. I mean, this is any way we can get at them. I'd love to see it. I think Massachusetts should lead the way. Like we have a state government that sometimes is interested in this stuff. Like you said, the Attorney General was part of this for Mass. Maybe they could lead the way on this. And if the DOJ won't do it, let's see the states really crack down. I'd love to see
It's
it.
up to
Maybe
the
get some new
states.
laws going. Yeah,
It's up to the
yeah,
states. And this is a state that the whole country was founded by. So it'd be nice to
right.
come from here.
It's where the American Revolution started, right? So let's get it going again. Uh, let's push back on this. I don't even call it. I'm like you now. I don't even call it a monopoly. In my opinion is protected speech. I believe they are a criminal enterprise, like you said, worse than the mafia. It's calling them a mafia is disrespecting the mafia. Because they had rules, they had some level of respect, and they respected business to a degree too. And
Yeah,
I
at
just
least
think
they
this
do
one's
it to
even
you with
worse than that.
class.
Yeah, yeah. God bless you, Tommy, tonight. Tommy D, for being here. I'm so glad that you showed up tonight, and we had a great discussion. And like I said, if there's anything we can do for you going forward, hit me up. I'm here for you anytime, and I'm very thankful that a fan out there saw you going to be on the show and bought you a drink too. That makes me feel good. And whoever that fan was, I want to thank them so much. That was awesome. And thanks for being here tonight. Tommy D, Juice Entertainment. Again, he's suing Ticketmaster, Live Nation. And hopefully this breaks them up. Like, so thankful for that you're doing this, Tommy, for all the artists out there and the fans and the businesses, because a lot of people are getting financially screwed on this, and something needs to be done. Thank you so much for being here, Tommy D. I hope you have a great rest of your week and enjoy this 420 week.
Thank you and happy anniversary again. And thank you for what you do for bringing exposing stories that other people will not do.
Hopefully more do. This is the thing. A lot of times we'll have something on here and a bigger outlet will see it and pick it up, and hopefully that happens. Some other bigger YouTubers, I'd love to see them jump on this as well. You're open to interviews. We put your Twitter up there. You're easy to reach out to. So if you have your own YouTube show or platform, you're a journalist. I hope people reach out to Tommy D or politicians. I know a lot of politicians follow our show as well. So I hope people start reaching out to Tommy D and you get some bigger platforms as well. Again, thank you so much for being here, Tommy D. It's great to meet you tonight, and good to see that you're a Bay Stater now. You left that terrible state of New Jersey. No, I like New Jersey, Tom. I'm just kidding. I don't want to
We're good.
fighting words. We don't like the Jets, though. I mean, it's okay that you're here, but
Hey, I'm a Jets and Pat fan, but I'm loyal. We can hate, but I'm loyal.
no, I don't hate on you. I love that you're loyal. Loyalty is a big thing on the East Coast. No matter, you always
Yeah, I really,
represent where
really
you're from.
appreciate it again.
Thank you so much, Tommy D. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your week.
Thank you. Happy anniversary. And thank you, your viewers and everybody listening.
Thank you. That was Tommy D. Great guy. Oh man, I wish him well. I mean, this is the poor guy's fighting 16 years on this, and he had a successful thing going. He was living the dream. Can you imagine that? It's such bullshit. The way the world works. I hope he wins. It's ridiculous. We had a couple super chats today. I want to thank our super chatters, Susie Annie. So Suzanne, excuse me, let me say that right. Suzanne says, "Great show, happy birthday to the Young Jerks indeed." Thanks, Susie or Suzanne. Let me say it right, Suzanne. And one of our moderators here, Mia Beto, she also sent $9.99 and said, "Thank you for covering this. Thank you for being here, Mia." I want to thank all of our mods, especially the ladies. We got a great mod team here. Denise Knoll, who's here quite a bit, says Woodstock, it was nuts. Did you know that Karen Reed went to Woodstock? She didn't go to the same Woodstock that I went to. She went to the next Woodstock. Was that, I think, Woodstock? I think I went to, was it Woodstock 94? I think I went to. And I think she went to like 96 maybe. She went to the one that ended up with the fires and the riots. There was almost a riot at the one I went to too. But Karen Reed also was a Woodstock attendee. We talked about that. And yes, Sue, Live Nation has a control over all music, live music, basically in the country. You heard what he said tonight. If you were listening from the beginning, um, anything over 10,000 seats, Live Nation thinks they own everything, and they get a kickback on it all. Karen, we did talk about this earlier about how his meeting with Snoop Dogg. So check that out. We did talk about that. It's pretty cool. He got to hang out with Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg came to his event for free. That's like amazing. I thought I had a story where I had Styles P to come to our event for free, where 50 Cent actually paid for it, but Snoop Dogg doing something for free. That does. I know a lot of people who own dispensaries and they've done things with Snoop Dogg. I even know some of the people that used to work at Live Nation in Boston. There was a rider for Snoop Dogg. He used to demand a pound of weed. when he would perform. I don't know if he still does that, but that was like in his rider. And I know one of the promoters here in Boston was like, we got to take that out, Snoop Dogg. We're gonna honor that, but we can't put that in writing. Weed is illegal. We don't want to get in trouble. Like that's how serious Snoop Dogg was about his weed. So funny. But he doesn't do anything for free. I wonder if he had any rider like that with Tom. But again, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. And make sure you go follow Tommy, follow Tommy D on Twitter. And if you do see any politicians, hit up your AG. Everyone's got a state attorney general. You have a state senator, you have a state rep. Tell them to start looking into this. Tell them to make some bills. We need some state laws. Sometimes state laws can start like that's how remember Obamacare? That started as Romney Care in Massachusetts. We had Mitt Romney passing a health care plan, and all of a sudden it went nationwide. When we did these decrim and these medical and these legal cannabis laws in Massachusetts, next thing you know, all the other states in New England are passing very similar laws. A lot of times states will act first, other states will follow suit, and then the feds jump in. Maybe that's the best angle on this, but something has to happen. This cannot go on. We can't have another 5 years of this constant inflation every summer that's been going on. Again, I want to thank our mod team for being here. I want to thank the super chatters. I want to thank everyone who's watching tonight, sharing, and I especially want to thank our guest Tommy D for standing up on this issue. Yeah, I think it's awesome that someone bought Tommy D a drink at a local bar because of our show. That is pretty cool. We have fans everywhere. That's what I like. It's like Fight Club. You never know where you're going to see a young jerk. There's always jerks out there. I want to thank our chat. I want to thank the person who bought Tommy D the drink, and I think it was in Billerica, actually. Pretty cool. Yeah, they are connected to a lot of theaters. Like I said, they even own a lot of the clubs now, especially like the mid-sized clubs. You'll see Live Nation has a piece of everything. They really do. And Ticketmaster, they can. I mean, like the Middle East for years they were doing Ticketmaster. I don't. When I used to do shows there, I don't know if they still use Ticketmaster, but even the clubs like the Middle East had connections with Live Nation. And I'm probably banned. I'm probably going to get banned from clubs in the future and theaters. They're probably not going to be able to do any events or shows with me because I'm covering this. But I don't care. Especially for me. My business doesn't rely on that. But for somebody like Tommy and a lot of these other musicians and tour promoters, it sucks. They're stuck in a pickle. Like they have no other choice. So that's why it's important for the fans to speak up. And YouTubers and people in journalism who especially aren't connected to the entertainment industry, we should get much more involved in this because we don't have there's nothing they can really do to us, right? So that's why the fans need to speak up more than, because this is what the artists actually want if they had their way, but they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. All right. I'm not sure when I'm going to do my next show. I'm going to start booking a lot more. I have a lot of guests, a lot of ideas upcoming. You're going to see a lot more guests on the show again. We started to do that. We covered a couple of trials. Afro Man was recently on the show. That was huge for us. I would expect much more like that. Again, I want to thank Tommy D. I love this that we can do these music shows now. We've got we've actually, let me put it on the playlist right now. I'm going to save the show, this live show, on our music interview playlist. We have a playlist with musicians. We've had Robbie Roadsteamer recently on the show, Will Daly, Afro Man I just mentioned. I love that I'm starting to get into the music community a little more. I was even thinking about having my old friend Chris McMahon on the show from Good Times, a club that I used to book a lot of shows. And maybe get some of the old rock radio people back on the show too. That would kind of be fun. And maybe some of the High Times people, because High Times is having a resurgence again, coming back. So I'm definitely going to dive into my past a little more on the show now that things have kind of slowed down with the trials and the true crime coverage. I enjoy it. And I want to thank you all for being here. Please like and subscribe, support, tell your friends about the show. I appreciate all the people sharing this on Twitter tonight. I saw a lot of that on the social media. Thank you so much. It means a lot to us. And if this is your first time watching, please like and subscribe. No, High Times, I'm not sure exactly where it started, but when I knew about High Times, it was a New York City magazine. They had the New York City offices. I think what you're talking about in Santa Cruz is that's the origins of 420. Around one of the suburbs of Santa Cruz, that's where 420 actually came from. And High Times was the first one to kind of report on that, and they kind of made 420 big. But High Times is, for as long as I knew about it, it was a New York City magazine. I don't think it's based in New York City anymore. They got new owners though. The owner of Raw Papers bought them. I don't know where High Times is based now. I think they're basically just like a lot of companies. They're just virtual. There's no official office. You don't have to have offices anymore. It's funny. You have a Woodstock '94 shirt. I know. I don't think I got a shirt there. I just remember it just got really ugly there after a couple days. Like it was like no more water. It was like mud. It got ugly there, but it was fun. That was like one of the best concerts ever, actually. Yes, great show, great chats, great mods. Yeah, a great guest tonight too. Tommy D was great. I enjoyed having him on. Easy to talk to. We actually have a lot in common. You say I'm correct on High Times, but not on 420. Well, the thing about the 420 thing is there's a lot of controversy, even among the High Times people, on who started 420. It's funny. I'm not even going to get into that because there's two Steves at High Times. There's Steve Hager and Steve Bloom, who are kind of rivals, and they have different theories about how 420 started. And so it's even among the High Times crew, there's a split there. I should probably try to get them both on. I actually did reach out to Hager at one point. He didn't get back to me. I think Steve Bloom would come on. He's always kind of supported me as well. I like them both. It's funny how these two guys are rivals within High Times, and I respect and like them both. I do. Oh, you think San Francisco started at 420 Hippie Hill, Golden Gate Park? Maybe. I mean, there's no real agreement on who started 420. I don't know. It's funny. There's a lot of controversy about it, actually. It's funny because on the Boston Common today, I guarantee there were a shitload of people that showed up on the Boston Common today for 420. And Michael Malta, my friend who passed away, we used to call him the King of Pot. He had his media company that he used to run, and he and I were the first ones to really actually promote 420 on the Boston Common, and got a lot of more the cannabis activist community there, and it kind of blew up. But even we kind of took credit for starting the 420 in the Boston Common, but it's kind of not true because even before we got there, the kids were already there. The kids, like, that's the thing. There's always somebody that influences the people before. You know what I'm saying? Like it's funny. That's the same thing with the music industry too. And the musicians, there's always somebody that influences something else before it catches on. Yeah, there you go. Like who knows, right? It's like the chicken or the egg. What came first? Yeah, I'm correct on there we go. Um, oh, your work schedule. I know, right? It's funny, me, you say that. When Karen Reed was going on, I had two trials of Karen Reed, and I had this full-time dog business. I don't think people recognized or realized what I was going through then because I was literally walking 10 to 15 dog walks a day while I was doing all that Karen Reed stuff every night. And my life got crazy. It got crazy busy over the last couple of years. And I basically tried to cut back my dog business, which I did. I didn't take any new customers on when customers moved away or the dog passed away and they didn't get a new one. I wouldn't take on any new customers. So my business has really slowed down, which I liked. But for whatever reason, over the last month, I've been busy again. And especially like the last couple of weeks, there's a lot of school vacations happening. And when people travel, when people go out, that's when the dog biz kind of heats up until the summer. The summer's kind of our slow season, believe it or not. But the school year is the busiest time. And I'm kind of busy. This month is going to be a busy month for me in terms of dogs. Today, not so much, which I enjoy. That's why I got to take a nap this afternoon. It's glorious. But I'm kind of busy, so my schedule and shows might be a little slower, but we'll see. I'm aching to get back into it, and I'm going to definitely be booking a lot more guests upcoming. That's another thing I'm going to cover too. Like I said, there's a big election coming up. State primaries coming up this year. There's DA races. There's Morrissey being replaced, and there's also a ballot initiative to get rid of the legal cannabis in Massachusetts. There's a ballot initiative. They're going to try to take it away. So we have a lot to cover. We're going to be covering a lot towards the end of the summer into the fall on these ballot questions. I'm burping now. Excuse me, or hiccuping. I don't know what it is. But there's also the FOIA. We're trying to expand the FOIA law with the auditor. So there's a lot of campaigns I'm actually going to start covering. I'm going to get into the local politics and the local ballot initiatives a little more at the end of the summer. Maybe even into the starting this spring, start having some candidates on again. Yeah, you just got it legalized in New York, and now we've had it legalized for quite a while, and now they're trying to take it away from us. We're gonna have to fight that. Hopefully, it doesn't pass. It would cost a lot of people their jobs. And the thing is too, if they get rid of legal weed in Massachusetts, it's really the stupidest thing because they're like, well, the safety of the citizens and all this stuff. What it's going to do, it's going to cause people to drive to New Hampshire, drive to Maine, drive to New York, because people are still going to go purchase it at legal dispensaries. They're just going to drive 200 miles. You know what I mean? Which is going to cause more accidents. So it's like it's really foolish to try to get rid of it after it's already been legalized all these years now. We passed legalization in Massachusetts 10 years ago, 2016. 2008, we did decrim. 2012, we did medical. So we've had, dispensaries open since basically 2014, I think, is when they first started open on the medical side. And then we did legal in 2016. So we've basically had a legal law since over 10 years now. And now they're trying to repeal it through a ballot initiative. So we're going to try to stop that. Jay Brill will probably help us on that one. They're trying to get rid of our legal weed this fall in Massachusetts. Jay Brill, we got to stop that. Yeah. Oh yeah. New Hampshire isn't even legal. That's right. They're the only state in New England holding up. They have a medical law, but they don't have legalization. All right, I'm gonna head out again. I want to thank Tommy D for being here. I want to thank all of our moderators for being. Yeah, they're putting it on the ballot. There's going to be a ballot initiative in November this fall to close legal cannabis in Massachusetts. They'll still allow some medical, but even that's going to be reduced. This new ballot initiative, they're going to try to make it much stricter to get medical cannabis, and they're going to try to close all legal cannabis in Massachusetts with this ballot initiative. So I'm going to cover that. Definitely coming up soon. I got a journalist friend named Chris Ferrone who covers that beat. He used to be my editor when I worked for Dig Boston. He did all my editing. I used to have a weekly column on the cannabis industry, the cannabis reform, and he's continued to cover it with his website I'm sorry, Talkin' Joints Memo. Yeah, that's what it's called. Talkin' Joints Memo is his website. So I'm definitely going to get him up on here to talk about that. We'll see what happens. It's funny. you think there are too many Democrats for that, Sheila. You know, the problem is they've been very shady about it, even collecting the signatures. Like I know people who signed that ballot initiative who are pro cannabis, and they were told that this would help expand the cannabis law. So they basically lied to voters when they were collecting the signatures, the group, which seems very shady and illegal. Um, and I think that's what you're going to see is that they're going to play some games to get people to vote for this, and people aren't even going to know what they're voting for. So that's why we got to make sure people know about it. Yeah, I hope Tommy D gets that. That's what bugging me. This guy, think about how long he's been waiting since 2011. 15 going on 16 years he's been suing Live Nation. Crazy. It's unbelievable. Hopefully they give Tommy his day, give him his trial. All right. Good to see you, Jay Brill. You know what, Jay Brill? You should talk to JFK about having Tommy D on the show. I think that would be a good show for you guys too. That would be a very good JFK show off with Tommy D. I'd like to see that. JFK knows what's up in the music industry. He might have to stay away from it. Maybe he can't cover it because of he's a music label. His artist might get blackballed. Yeah, we were just tonight was a really interesting show about the music business, Ticketmaster and Live Nation. All right, I'm gonna head out. I'll see you when I see you, everyone. Make sure you like and subscribe, and check out the notifications later on this week because we may have some announcements, some more guests booked. Again, I want to thank so much Tommy D for being here. I want to thank everyone on the live chat. And I want to thank you all. And I may talk about Karen Reed. There's a civil thing going on later on the week. I don't know. I've been kind of keeping it close. I've said a few things on Twitter about it. But they're the people who were suing Karen Reed and Turtle Boy have threatened a lot of us, apparently, through their little spokespeople online. So I've been kind of close to the vest on that one. Ultimately, I don't think it's going to win that lawsuit against Karen Reed because how do you prove who did it? We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll talk about it later on this week. Who knows? Thinking about it. All right, I'll see you soon. Have a great night, everyone. Peace out. Thank you so much for supporting us. Young Jerks, check it out. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't before. And if you do want to support, we do have the Cash App, Mike Crawford 1 or Venmo TYJ. Very much appreciate all the donations that have come in over the last couple of weeks and months. It keeps us going. Much appreciated. I'll see you all soon. Peace out. Mike Crawford, Young Jerks, checking out. Oh, thank you, Natalie, Diana. It's nice to see you here even late. I'm glad you're watching. I love all my replay people. I love the people who watch on the replay just as much who watch it live. Thank you for being a moderator here as well. Yeah, even against Turtle Boy. I mean, Turtle Boy has said much more in terms of saying things are facts, but at the same time, I don't even think it's going to work against him. I don't. I mean, I'd be worried if I were him, but I don't think ultimately it's going to work. I don't. But, obviously a very serious law firm who's behind it. I mean, that's when you have to take it seriously. When you have a law firm like that suing you, definitely a serious, and I'm not an attorney, but maybe I will talk more about that this week. We'll see. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you soon. Peace out. Mike Crawford, check it out, Young Jerks. And again, happy anniversary to the Young Jerks. 12 years. It is our birthday. Happy birthday to all you jerks in the chat. Without you, there is no Young Jerks, so it's your birthday as well. I want to thank you so much. Happy birthday to you all. Happy birthday to you, and I'll see you soon, hopefully maybe later this week. Peace out, jerks.